I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So employee management application, it's a very simple project. But what we are going to do, we are going to create the database table, then we are going to write the API again in .NET Core, then the Angular part. But while employee management, what major model we are going to do? It's just not the one table. Yeah, we have an employee form. We need to create an employee application where HR will use this app to register an employee. Like whenever we join a company, someone will create our profile. Sometimes in some company, we only have to create our profile, right? So we will assume like HR will do the basic profile creation. HR people will be creating the employee. But when you say employee creation, right? Employee, we have to register that employee or we have to tag that employee for a particular department, right? So we will create a department. Then in department, let's say software department, QA department, admin department, hardware department, multiple department can be there. Again, in department, we can have different designation also, like junior, senior, right? So we will have designation. Then employee management will be there. Okay. So these are the three tables what we are going to have. So HR will log in, HR will have some access, employee also will have the login, but he cannot create another employee, he cannot create department, he cannot create designation. If employee login, he can see only his information and some of it only he can update. So we can check that according to the role, how we disable thing. That thing also we will be able to implement. Okay. So from table creation, API and Angular part, everything we are going to do. This is a role-based application. We have HR role and the employee role. Two roles are going to be there. So basically modules will be, first we have to create the database, then we will create the table. We have to create the API project. Again in API, we have to create the model according to the table we create. First, we will complete the basic CRUD API for all the table. The extra API, what we need will be the login API and the filter API. So let's say employee is there, right? So many employees will be there, but HR has to, we have to provide some filters to the HR so that they can filter out according to the department, according to the designation. Sometimes they can search by mobile number or email also, right? So once API part is done, then Angular project, and we have to complete everything. So what HR will do, HR will be able to create department, designation, and employee, right? But if employee login, he can only see his information and he can only update some of it, not every. Because again, that topic I said, like we should be able to add some functionality according to the role base. So that's why this feature we are going to add. Fine. Now, again, when we say employee management, it can have so many things out there also, like bank information, family information, but I won't be able to do that because if we expand our table, again, it will take more time to complete the video. Okay. So I'm just limiting some things so that with this also we'll be able to complete the whole flow. Fine. Now, the database creation. So I'm with .NET, normally we go for SQL. So I have SQL Management Studio in my local. I'm opening that. Fine. So this is the local database. I'm connecting to it. Now, first we have to create the database. So existing some databases are there. Now I have to create a new database. So right click on database, create new database. Either you can create by using that SQL query also, create database and database name, or you use the UI also. Employee manage DB. Just a name we add, like table we add TBL, database we add DB, right? So employee DB, I'm saying. Now we have to click on OK. Here, like what initial size you need, by what your database can grow. So some settings are there. Okay, it is just a test database, so we don't need to worry about that. So you click on OK, and your database will get created. See, database got created. Let's refresh one more time. Okay, so my database got created. So once database is created, then we have to discuss our table. So whenever our project start, let it be any project. Let's say any company is there and they got a client and he has some project idea. So once our requirement analysis, requirement gathering is done, the first thing what we do is database creation. What is their problem statement? According to that, first database DBA people will create the database schema, right? They once whatever the discussion we have got in requirement gathering, we get to see all the models, what different models are there, how those models are going to be connected. According to that, DBA people will create the database, right? So all the project, the first step, once the requirement is clear, database creation is the first thing everyone will do. Okay, so that we are going to do. And in that database creation also, first master table they will do. Master table is like master data. Every application will have master data. I mean, these are the data where we use this data in another pages like department designation. This data we use in employee as just to show as a drop down, right? We have to do the CRUD also, but these are like independent table. Okay. Now let's start. Okay. Now, so employee management, first department table and designation table we will create. Now we can create the table by that SQL query also, but I have already, that will take time. So I will just expand this database and I will just UI. So right click on the table, new and table. This is, it will not take that much time. So I'm going with this. Now department table. So every table will have the primary key ID, primary key. Primary key will identify how unique in every table we need some unique, right? So that is nothing but primary key. So DPT ID, department ID. Let's department ID. This will be our primary key and data type will be obviously integer. So integer. Just like in JavaScript, we have data type, other, all the programming language have the data type. Just like that, database also has the data type. Okay. Allow null. This is mandatory field. Then we have to make it primary key. So right click, set primary key. Then whenever we are going to insert the data, we will ask database to insert a unique data in primary key. We should not be worried about what unique data we have to pass. Database will take care of that. So for that, we have something identity. So this column I'm setting that this is identity with 1 1. So every time when you pass the data, you just have to pass 0 department ID. Database will take care of increment. Every time one record is there, then two, three, like that. Okay. Department ID, department name, varchar 50. Fine. Then one more flag is active. Fine. Bit. Like Boolean 0 1 value. So bit I will be adding. So department ID, department name, and is active. Three columns we have in the department table. Now we have to save this table. So if you click on save, then it will ask the table name. So and TBL. Okay, as I said, we try to add a naming convention like that. So department table, save. This is the first table we created. Second table, right click. Now if I refresh this, you will be able to see the table over here also. See, second table, new table. This master table doesn't normally have the foreign key. It can have also, but at least department table, no foreign key is there. Then second table, designation. Designation ID. Again integer, mandatory, primary key and identity. Okay. Now, as we decided, let's say hardware, hardware is a department, right? Inside that also there might be a storekeeper. One team might be who does the installation. One team might be doing who purchase the uh, products from other thing, right? So again, if we talk about QA, uh, junior QA, automation engineer, manual tester. So for every department, different designation can be there. So here we will need the foreign key because if you create a one department, let's take an example. Let's say if you create a department QA. So in QA, multiple designation will be there like manual QA, automation QA, right? Like this. So yeah, the person belongs to the QA department, but what is this designation? Is he is a manual QA or automation? So we are just having one more level of the identification. So now in designation table, we will have a foreign key of department ID. Department ID. This will be foreign key because for a particular department, we will have multiple designations. So if you are inserting data into designation, you should be able to identify like this designation belongs to which department. So that's why we need the foreign key. Again, integer, allow null, then designation name. It will be varchar. So in our Angular, JavaScript, TypeScript, we have string. So here string is nothing but varchar. And how many maximum characters we can have, that also we can specify over here. Fine. So designation ID, that is my primary key, department ID, designation name. Let's save this table also. Designation TBL. This is the second table we have created. Now, in the first table, we didn't had any foreign key, but now in designation table, department ID is our foreign key. So we have to add that relation also. Right click, relationship. Now you have to click on add. Now you have to add the relationship between this column from this table to that primary key. So click over here, department table, primary key, from where your primary key is going to come. So department ID from department table. And that department ID is going to be connected from designation table with the department ID. So this is how we add the foreign key. Save. Sorry. Okay. So we created two table, department table and the designation table. Now the final table, that is employee table. So again, right click on employee, new employee table. So here, let's say employee ID, our primary key, data type integer, allow null. Let's set it as a primary key, identity, yes, right? Then name, varchar, this is mandatory, contact number, again varchar. Now, contact number, as if we talk about at least Indian, so maximum 10 digit we can have, right size? So here you can set it, ki maximum 10 digit only it can allow. Email, varchar, let's 50, then city. For city, state also again we can have the table, but as I said, we just want to limit our application. So we will make it at a free text. User can provide state, pin code, pin code. Now pin code will have maximum 6 digit, at least in India, right? So again, varchar, but limit we will say 6. Okay. Alternate mobile number. Alternate number. Now we have contact number. Not everyone will have second contact number, right? So this we will keep it optional. Okay. So all these fields are mandatory. Just alternate contact number is optional. Okay. And after that, we got city, state, pin code. So we need address also. Varchar. Now address can have so many characters. So we will say maximum 2000 character we will allow. While working on the application, you might have seen whenever we show the text area, below the text area, we add that 0 of 1000, max 2000 character, right? Then we add the validation also. So that validation comes from the database. Ki what is the database capacity? How much data we can insert into that particular column? Likewise, first rule of validation will be on the database, then on the API, then on the Angular. So on all the three platform, we have to do the validation. Okay. Now, so employee is there, basic employee data we got. Now this employee belongs to which department, which designation, right? So here we need designation ID, integer. Now we don't need department ID over here. Why? Because in designation, we already have an entry of department. So by using that, we can get the department name also. Again, we don't data redundancy, right? We should not store the same data again and again. That's why we create multiple table, because if we store the designation ID over here, you get the designation record. From there, you got the department. Like that, you can find the department name also. Okay. So no need to store department ID again. Then we need created date. Those who are CREATED, created date time. So those who are having experience on working enterprise level application, like in every model you have created date and modified date. So these two field will help to identify ki when this record got created and modified date. Whenever we do the updation, this field will get updated. This field will get updated only for the first time, but this will get updated whenever you are doing the put operation. Okay. So these two column, but these are also not mandatory because this from UI side we are not going to send, or from the API side we are going to send. So from my table, only three things are optional: alternate contact number, created date, and modified date. Let's save this table. Employee TBL. So all tables are created. Department, designation, and employee. Now in employee, we have a foreign key. So we need to add the relationship to that also. Relationship, add. So our primary key table will be designation. From that primary key designation ID, and that will get connected to employee table designation ID. So that is our foreign key. So all the foreign keys we have added. Okay. Let me pause. So tables got created, right? So when we work on the actual projects also, first, as I said, key table creation will be there, schema and everything. They will decide. After that, table creation will happen. Again, this is not a very small thing. This table creation, first they will create they have also so many tools. They will create a schema diagram first. Before actually going to create the table, they don't directly go and create the table. First, they create the schema. They lay out the structure, what requirement we have. According to that, they create the diagram linking which table will get connected to which table, right? What data will be single, what data will be multiple, like that. They decide the schema. Once the schema is final, they will again discuss with client also. Then they finally create the table. It's not like in the first day only they will create the table. Okay. So in real application, in actual project, so many things happen behind the scene. For Angular developer, what we get, we just get the URL. But when before getting that URL, API URL, so many things has already happened. Okay. Now, but see, even if you are an Angular developer now, someday, let's say your experience is growing after 6 years or 7 years, someday you have to lead the team. You are not going to be always a senior developer or associate developer, something, right? Someday you have to lead the team. So at that time, if you don't know the database key, how database is there, how they create the API, no one will expect you that you should know everything, but at least you should have a sound knowledge, because in requirement gathering you have to speak up from UI side also. They will ask you question ki, yeah, in employee information some data we are moving it to the different table also, even though it is not multiple, but some data we are moving to the different table also, because your object will change. Like that you will get nested object then, right? Employee will have family details, so array you will get. So you have, if you have that database knowledge also little bit clear, so you will be able to say key, let's say address details, the database people are saying that address detail will move to the different table. One employee will have one address only, right? Then you can say yeah, why you are moving it to the different table. If let's say you are giving opportunity to add him permanent address and temporary address, then it's okay. If you are moving it to different table, it's the same information. Every employee will provide the information, so why not to keep in the same table? So like this input you have to provide, right? Because if they make database very complex, API will also do like that, and UI also will get complex unnecessary, right? So that's why having this knowledge after 7 or let's say 6 years also, it is very important, that basic. Because as a software developer, database should be there. It's like ABCD. Everyone should know the basic concept of database, right? Now we will start the API. So I have a Visual Studio. So Visual Studio 22. Let me open it. Now we have to create the API project. So .NET Core is there. So create new project. So now in Angular, like we create the project by CLI. Here we have the UI. So ASP.NET Core Web API I have to create. Click on next. This is the project name we have to give. Employee.api. Just a project name I am giving, where you need to keep this project. So let me select it. The Angular 21. Yeah. In this folder, I will keep my project. Click on next. Okay. You don't have to do anything over here. Click on create. So it will create our ASP.NET Core API project. Shekhar, can you clear this diagram? or I have to stop and share again. Don't use anything. Yeah, thank you. Let me share again. Okay, so this is the empty API project what we get. We get controller, right? Then we get program.cs. So inside that app setting, here we keep our web config and everything. So very empty project we have got. So now first thing we have to do is we have to install our entity framework. So entity framework is like it sits between your .NET Core application and database. Means instead of directly connecting from your API project to the database, you connect it through the entity framework. Java people has that Spring Hibernate framework. Just like that, here we have entity framework. Okay. So I need to install the entity framework. Again, we will install that from NPM only. As I said, like NPM is not only for us. .NET, Java, PHP, Python, all the libraries are kept at NPM also. Okay. So here we open like this. NuGet Package Manager, Manage Package or Manager console. Okay. So currently we created an empty API project. Okay. So you can see in the install tab, we don't have anything. So if you click on the browse, then you have to search entity framework. Okay. So let's select entity. So first package what we need to install is Microsoft Entity Core. So this package and the version what according to my what I have it in my system .NET Core, the older version I have. So because recently it was released, so I can with the latest stable version might not be compatible with my. So we have to go with 9.0.10. This is the stable package with my .NET Core. Okay, you selected like in Angular, like we install the package with @specific version. So same thing happen. This is the UI. So once you click on install, npm install package name @version. What we do there by using just the CLI command, the same thing happen over here with the UI install. So now it will install that particular package. This is install. Then we need another one because we are going to use SQL Server. So that SQL Server we need. So many things are there again for analysis, analyzer, but we don't need that right now. This also 9.0.10 install. Accept. Okay. So two packages I have installed. Let's go to the install tab. Now you can see, let me clear it. Entity, Microsoft Entity Framework.core and SQL Server. So once you create the employee project, these two libraries you have to install. Now we have to create our models. So on project, what I'm doing, I'm just creating a new folder. So add folder and I'm creating a folder models. So models are nothing but in Angular also we create model, class, interface, right? Those are nothing but our model. Here also we create the model. But this model are nothing but classes. But that class will be a replica of your table. How many tables you create now, that many classes you will create. Okay. So right click first. One more extra class we have to create, that is the DB context class, the database class. Okay. So first I will create the DB context class. Just a moment. Right click, add class. So our employee project name is employee, right? So we will give it a name as employee DB context. Again, that entity framework. So it has three approaches: code first, database first. Means because we have database ready already, so we are creating model by using that database. Another way is also there. First you create the classes, and by using that classes, database will also get created automatically. And a custom way is there. So I try to go with custom because it is easy to explain you guys. Okay. So what I'm creating a class which is going to be replica of my database. So I'm just giving a name. On click of add, it will create a normal CS file. Just like in TypeScript, we have .ts file, .js file. Just like that, this is a C# file. .cs extension will be there. Now this file, this class, we need to override something. You know that what do we say, inheritance. So in this class, we have to override it with DB context. Okay. Once if I write that, See, here we are getting that bulb. Same way in Angular also we get it, import. See, it is coming from Microsoft Entity Framework core. Okay. So we are inheriting this employee DB context class from DB context. Now, so we need to create the constructor. So now you can see everything is IntelliSensing. So like this is not new, but I think 3 to 4 years back it started. Whatever, if you just in see what we did, we just inherited with DB context. So see the basic code also it is suggesting. So once I click on tab, you get it. Means before AI, this was already happening. Okay. This I will comment for now. So what is this? See public, and what's the name of this? Same name as the class name. So this is our constructor. So in our Angular in TypeScript, we write constructor like this, right? Like this we write. So in C sharp, constructor will have the same name as of the class name. Okay, but in constructor we have something because this class we are going to register into our app setting. So while initializing, we are going to pass some value. So that's why this extra thing is there. Normal constructor will be like this only without anything over here. This is your normal constructor. Okay. But since this class we are going to register as a dependency in program.co, so that's why we need the option. Okay. So we create our DB context class. Now we have to create the model. Okay. How many tables you have created, that many models you will models you have to create. Models mean nothing but classes. So class first department dot cs. First class I'm creating for the department. Okay. Now in department, this class is going to be connected with our model. So what we need to do above the table, you have to add square bracket table property. Okay. And here you have to provide the table name. Means this class is going to be connected with which table? So from your database, what was the table name? Refresh. Oh my God. Why it is taking time now? Sometime this happens. I have to restart the database manually. Anyway, it hanged. Let's let it give some time. Hmm. Yeah. So department table, this is our table name. So you have to copy the table name and you have to put it over here. Means we are saying we are connecting this class with our this table. Now, whatever the properties you created over here, same properties we need to create in our class also. Okay. So public int department ID. So our column name is department ID in small case. So you have to copy this and you have to paste it over here and getter setter method. I won't go in deep, but consider this is how you create a variable in your class. Second, department name. Okay. Now, like in an Angular, how do we create class and we initialize it? So same like that you can do, but here it is like string dot empty you can do. So this is how we are initializing default value we are setting. Okay. Now the third property was active Boolean. So if here bit means your Boolean value. So here you have to create bool. Okay. And the column name is active. Okay. So this is exact replica of your table. What number of columns you have, that many properties you create along with the data type also same. Okay. What data type you have kept it over here, same data type you need to handle it on over here. Now department name. This is required and maximum length is 50, right? So same rules you need to add it over here. Square bracket. This is required, comma, second validation, max length, round bracket. What is the max length? 50 character, like this. You have added the validation also. Like when you integrate the API and save API, you get the errors. These fields were not valid. So we get that because of this. Okay. First table we created. Second designation. Designation. Second table I'm creating. Again, same thing like that. So now I will just copy paste just to speed up things. Okay. Now our second table name is designation TBL. Copy, paste, then column name. Designation ID, our primary key. Then we have two integer data type, designation and department ID. So this is our foreign key. Then designation name over here is active. We don't have it. So let's remove it. Second table got created. Let's create third table, that is our employee. We can add the foreign key relationship over here also by using that virtual, but I normally don't do that because again, whenever you get the data employee, it will get you the relevant child table also. Employee.cs, the third table. Let me copy table name. One more thing we forgot, primary key we forgot. Okay. So now this department ID is our primary key. So above this table, you have to add key, and this is auto increment. So database generated and identity. So it is suggesting everything. Okay. So this thing need to be present in every primary key. Okay. Now, so our third table, that is employee TBL, column name, table name, copy, paste. Okay. Now what number of columns we have, that we need to copy. Let me try to copy this. Okay. Now let's copy paste quickly. Okay. Employee ID. We'll go over here. Then name, contact number. Let me just copy paste quickly. We can ask Copilot also to do this or ChatGPT. It will save us time, but I wanted to do it for the first time. State, pin code, alternate contact number. Then we have address, designation ID. Designation ID is integer. So here data type will be int. Created date and modified date. Created date and modified date are date. So relative data type also we need to change. Both are date time. So date time. Here also, here also. Now here you see date time we cannot initialize with empty na string. So we have to remove this. Fine. So this is your model of employee. Now name was required. Now here contact number required, max length was 10 digit, and min also for mobile number minimum also you need na. So min length also 10 digit. Like this we add the validation. Let's say email, you want to add the pattern. So require, instead of max length, you have a pattern also. Pattern or what? Regular expression. I forgot. Regular expression is there or not? Oh my God, I forgot everything. Regular expression. How do we add a pattern? Anyone knows? Yeah, regular expression. Okay. So here you can provide the regular expression, what we normally add in while working on Angular, we say it as a pattern, but it's basically regular expression. So that same thing you add it over here for email. Okay. So on every level, we have this validation. Okay. Fine. But let's not add it right now. Fine. So we created three model: department, designation, and employee. So whatever the models we had, whatever the tables we had, respective classes have been created. Now all these classes, nothing but table models, were part of this particular database. So we have to register them to this database, because when you work on an actual project, there is not a single database. Their data can be scattered over multiple database. So just like this, we can have multiple classes, multiple databases. So we need to register that this class is connected with this table, with this database. Okay. So this one was there, DB set. Then we have department, just the getter setter properties with S, designation, copy, we add it as. So what you do, once you create the API project, you install entity framework, you create DB context, you create respective models, and all the models you add it to your DB context as a DB set. Okay, that's it. Now you can directly create the API. So in the controller, you create the API. So add controller. We have to create a new controller. We are working on the API project. So API empty controller. Add. So first controller will be for department master. Okay. So see, a controller got created. Fine. Now controller is already inherited with controller base. Now here, just give me a moment. We have to initialize, we have to like dependency injection, what we do in Angular. In this class, we are going to need the DB context. So that's where we are going to do. Wait. Now in controller, we have to inject our DB context class. Now I'm saying inject because Angular people will make more relate, because in this class, we are going to need some functionality from DB context class. Okay. So we have to inject that. So private, then read only. What we need to inject our class name, that is employee DB context object. Then we have to create the constructor of this class. So public, see everything is coming IntelliSense. Let me accept it. So what you do in Angular, let's say you created a service and in that service you have some function and that service function you need to use it into your component. So we inject that either by using constructor or by using inject. So same way in C# we are doing like this. Okay. What we do over here, similar kind of thing we do it over here also. Okay. Now the first API call what we are going to create is to read all the data, the get API. So we all the APIs, whatever the API you see, that get, post, put, delete are coming. So that we API developer, we set it. So HTTP get, then public I action result, our method name, get all department round bracket. Now what you need to do, you need to get all the data from your department table and you need to send it back, right? So where DEPT list is equal to underscore context. Underscore context means your DB context class object dot department. How it is coming department? Because of the DB set what we created. Department dot to list. That's it. This one line will get you all the data from your database. Oh my God. Sorry, I forgot to add the connection string. Okay. We created the model. First thing I should have added the connection string because we didn't connect the database. We created the database, we create the model, but where is the connection, right? So let me get the connection string. This is the connection string. So in app setting.json, we can add the connection string. Wait, in connection string, as I said, in one application, we can connect with multiple database. So like that, one, two, three, multiple connection string we can have. Okay. This is my database name, the local database name. Now our database name. Our database name is employee management DB. So this will go over here. Then these two properties we need because we are working on the local. In actual database, you will have user ID and the password also. Fine. We created the connection string. Again, one more thing I forgot. So when I do the live session, sometimes with the flow, I do forgot something. So first thing should have been, we should have added the connection string in your app setting.json. Once you add it, then you create the DB context. Now this DB context means your database class. We need to set ki for this database, this is the connection string I'm going to use. Because as I said, we are going to have multiple databases, right? So how do you connect that? For this database, this is the connection string. So we have to do that into our program.cs file. Okay. Now here in the builder object, so builder dot services dot add db context. Okay. Then you have to select your DB context class. So employee DB context. Then you need to get the options opt dot use SQL server. We are using SQL server. See, everything is coming. Let's select it. Okay. Now here you have to provide your connection string name. We are reading the data from your app setting like this. So what is our connection string name? Let's change it employee con. So this is your connection string name. So this you need to provide over here. What we did over here, we have connected this database class is going to be using this connection string. Okay. This was the thing what we missed. Now over here, otherwise we would have got the error. So coming back to our API. So what we created, one API we created, it's just a normal function, but return type is iAction result. iAction result is a base class which can result JSON, any type of data. Now here, return OK and the department list. Let's add a debugger over here. This is how we add a debugger. We don't write debugger. Here you click, debugger will add. So this is your method name. You know that in OOPS concept, we have abstraction. We should not disclose anything. So instead of disclosing this, we can provide the route name also. So route name, get all departments. Okay. So your method name is this, but how you are going to access the API? By this method, by this name. Let's save it and let's try to run it. Put API we will be able to test, but we will complete it. Then in Angular we will test it. But the get API we can directly test because we didn't install the Swagger. If we install the Swagger, then post and put API also we can test. Fine. Is it running? Let it give some time. So by default, our Angular application also run on some port. Just like that, it will also run. So how do you access that API? Particular API. So we have to write like URL will be API slash then your controller name. Our controller name is department master. This also you can set it at your also. Okay, class name can be anything, but controller name you can set it something. Then your route name. Okay. Now once I hit, my action will trigger. We have added the debugger. So if everything is correct, means our database and everything is proper, we should be able to get the data. Or before that, first let's insert some data from here. Edit. From database, I'm inserting some data because we need to test the get API. Why it is taking time? Yeah. Let's say QA 0. Then let's say hardware 1, software 1. Okay. So in my database, I have 3 departments, QA, hardware, and software. Now let's go over here. So if I do F10 now, yes. So this line got successfully executed, mean our database connection and everything is proper. Now if you hover on this, you see count 3. First record, second record, third record. We got the data and we are simply returning it, whatever the array we got. So in response, you got the array. So your first API is ready. Got it? So this is how simple API development is. Again, with the help of AI and everything, there is no need to think so much. Okay, yeah, previously it was like that. You have to get everything, means you have to master everything. But now, if you know the basics also, with the help of UI, you can work. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Ki everyone has to be full stack now. We cannot limit ourselves just to UI. Those who are Java developer and .NET developer, you ask them. Every company is asking them to learn Angular or React. So likewise, we also have to do it. If you are Angular or React developer, you have to learn at least the backend technology. Okay. Now, this is our get API. Then we need post API, how you are inserting it, right? So it is suggesting, let's accept that. Public action result. This is your save API. Single line. Okay. But here we need to add form body. This is extra thing we need. Form body. Okay. Now, This is your get API to get all the data from your table. This is the save API. We won't be able to test it because we cannot test it on the browser. Once API code is done, then we will test it. Update. Update API will be like this. We have to read the data. If the data didn't found, we will send it. Department not found. If we get the data, we will update the respective properties. Then the delete API. Delete API will have the parameter. Accept. Okay. So let's consider that you didn't know anything. Everything is coming. At least basic code, basic CRUD operation code, you don't have to worry. You don't need so much deep knowledge. Everything is there. Okay. So we can check the delete API. Let's test that. But put and update, we won't, put and post, we won't be able to test on the browser. Okay. Now currently, let's duplicate this API slash department. Debugger, continue. So currently we have three departments. Let's say I want to delete the department which is having two ID. So API slash this, and our method name is delete API method name is this delete department, and we have to pass the ID along with it. So ID question mark ID equal to what's the ID? 2. Okay. If I click enter, did we have the debugger? Yes. Enter. Why it is not hitting? Do we need to pass like this? Delete also we are not able to hit. How come? ID equal to delete department question mark ID is equal to 2. Why we are not able to hit this? Delete master, delete department. Okay, let it be. We will test this in our Angular only. Okay. So now first controller department table APIs I have created by myself. Now let's try to take the help of ChatGPT for designation. How do you ask ChatGPT to create all the API? So I will open the ChatGPT now. Okay. Now what should be your prompt? What you will say? What you need? You need the CRUD API for this model. So you have to say I am working on .NET Core API for this model. Write basic CRUD API. Now basic CRUD API we have already written, right? Now you can say add try catch block, add model validation. Okay. Create one searching API also. Create one filter API also. Okay. With that, we will be able to filter also. Fine. And just provide controller code. And our DB context name also we will provide so that we don't have to do this. Directly, if we copy paste, everything will done. This is my DB context. Let's see. Now, here we will just create our controller and we just need to copy paste. That's it. Right click, add controller, API, empty controller. Designation Master. Add. Right? Let's see. Okay. So see, all the code is there. Now we just need to copy paste. Let's copy it up till this because, or let's copy this also. Let's paste it. Save. We got somewhere error. Okay, this also. Our class name is this. So we just need to change this. That's it. So see, we just changed the controller class name because controller class, it has assumed the department and we created something else. Everything is there. So try and catch, model validation, async await, everything it has added. Got it? Again, we forgot one thing. Ki here also we forgot one thing. Ki we need to add uniqueness. Two department cannot have the same name, right? So let's ask ChatGPT to modify this, or Copilot also. So here also we have the Copilot. Just like in Angular, we can access now. Same thing over here. But this I'm not that much familiar. But let's try. Because here I'm not able to see how that agent mode is not. Okay. What do we need? What do we need to do? We need to ask Copilot to modify this. So this is my basic CRUD API. You will provide it over here, and you have to say ki while adding department name should be unique. In this API, department name should be unique. Let's see. It will provide you the code where it will add that department name unique. See, let's copy and paste it over here. See, your API got changed. Now, while adding, first it is checking ki whatever the department name we get is exist or not. If it exists, we are returning bad request. Department name must be unique. If not, then only we will save it. Like that, in designation also, you can add it, right? So while writing the prompt, we didn't say that he add this, handle this also. So it didn't handle, right? Now, while employee creation, we will handle that. So let's create employee controller. Employee master. Okay. Now, while creating the employee, I will add so many things now. Copy. This is my model. Again, this is free only. See, not paid or something. Everything it will provide. Create CRUD API for this. Add try catch, or we already said try catch. So we can say use above rules because we are in the same chat, right? Use above rules and validation. Employee mobile number and email ID should be unique. So contact number and email should be unique. And let's say you need a API where sorting, filtering, pagination, and everything is there. Let's add that also. Create one normal get API and one to filter, sort, and pagination too. Okay. No, we forgot that. Uh, yeah, contact number and email. Fine. Let's see. Now it will handle everything. So many companies nowadays, at least they are not checking your prompt techniques, how you are good with prompt. But let's say after 6 months or even after 1 year, they will include this also in interview, how good you are with prompt, right? So because they want a developer who is not just good at development, they want a person who is good with AI also now. Okay. Let's copy this DB context class. See pagination API also we have got. Employee master. Just controller name we need to change. That's it. Where it is breaking. Okay, our model name is employee only, no? Why it is breaking? Why this employee is breaking? Is not able to find this employee or what? Employee is a namespace. Where is oh my god. So see, now our namespace name is also employee and our model name is also name employee. So let's change it. We cannot have employee model. Let's change this also. Employee. We cannot have a same two things with the same name, right? That's why it is giving error. So now employee model. So wherever we had employee, We just need to change it in DB context also, so we need to change it. Okay, so all error gone now. So these are the all APIs what we have. So this is what we said. We need a get API. So this is get API which will return all the data. This is get API which will get you the single record. Create API. Here you see mobile and email validation it has added. Update API, delete API, and then filter API with let's say we can search by name, sorting, pagination, and everything. Got it? So if you know the basic of C Sharp and basic of API development with the help of Copilot and ChatGPT, you can actually complete the whole project also, right? But at least basic. But when companies start a project, they don't hire all the senior developers. They hire junior and senior, right? So at least basic CRUD API you will create. Then remaining part, actual business logic, they might also do. So somewhat you are contributing, right? So if you are just limiting yourself to the Angular, then yeah, for current project, you can say you have the project, but let's say that project got over. And after that, if you are again limited with Angular, you don't know React or you don't know .NET or Node.js, so company will struggle to find a project for you. So many are responding with the same because vacancies that what people are there that there's resource allocation people, they are coming with combination technologies. They are not coming with just for Angular, right? So things have started right now. If you are only Angular or if you are only React, things are very changing. Every 6 month market is changing. So don't limit yourself. It's not that hard also. Because of the AI, it is because see, I also was basically a .NET developer. For first 3 years, I worked on only .NET, ASP.NET, MVC, then .NET Core. But then I got to learn AngularJS, then Angular, Ionic, everything. So at that time, AI was not there because in .NET also we have very strange architecture setup, facade architecture, onion, so many complex project they will create. So I was also getting very frustrated because so much code we have to do. This is very easy. Normally, no code will be like this. At least one middleware will be there and something will be there. Okay. But if you understand basic, now with the Copilot, it will only understand ki what thing we have to do in this project, what architecture they are following. According to that, it will suggest you. You just have to copy paste. So like this, so many things are there. Okay. Let me pause. Fine. So we created almost API, but we forgot one API that is to log in, right? So in employee master controller only, we will ask Copilot to or ChatGPT to create the login API. Now in employee table, when we created the employee table, we didn't added the password column, right? So whenever we see employee login, so email ID, username, and a combination with password. So instead of doing that, what we can do, we will consider email ID as our username and contact number as a password because we can create also, but this also combination we can do, right? So we will ask Copilot, sorry, ChatGPT in the same. We need a login API, right? I need a login API where email with checking credential with email and password. Okay, let's see. So now it will create another extra model because our login API is normally post API. So whenever we talk about post API, we get an object, right? So it will create a model. See, it has created a new class with just two fields, email and the password. So let's copy paste that. We can put it into employee model. So, like in TypeScript, we create .ts file just to store our interface and class. And inside that, we store multiple, just like the same over here. In one file, you can create multiple classes also. Okay. Let's make it in a small case so that everywhere it will be. Now it will be contact number. Okay. Then our login API. Let's copy this. copy, and in employee controller, we will paste it at the end. Fine. But we've changed the model, so we don't have email. Sorry, small scale email is there. And instead of password, contact number we will check. Contact number, contact number. Wait, but how it is checking? It is finding username with email. But it should not be like that. We should always check for the combination. If email ID is there and m dot sorry x dot password contact number we have equal to whatever the contact number we get. So I will explain this query what it does. See, this query is what it is doing. It is trying to find the record where email ID is this and contact number is this. So while creating the employee, we have already added the condition that email ID and contact number will be unique. So we won't have multiple record with same email ID, right? So first or default, just like in our JavaScript array, we have a method find, right? Find will always return the first record matching. Even if it has multiple, it will return the first. Just like that, first or default is there. So it will try to find sorry. Okay. So we are checking if in my table I have an email ID, whatever the email ID get and the contact number. So if we get, then we get the record. Okay. If user is not null, then we will say invalid credential message. We will say invalid credentials. Fine. And we will return unauthorized or something. But if we get the data, we are sending message property. Let's make it small case. And in data property, we will send the whole object. Means whatever the user is trying to log in, the whole object we have to pass. Okay. But when we decided that our application is going to have two roles, right? HR and the employee. But when we created the table, here we don't have any specification to add role, right? So we need to add one more column that will be role. It will be varchar 50 save. This will be optional, okay? And since we added one more column into our table, so same here also we need to add one more property in your model. So property string role. Okay. So let's save it. Again, string.empty we need to initialize. Fine. So we have got the API ready, but here we need to pass the role also. User role. Fine. So all our API, whatever the API we needed, all APIs are ready. Now we can start on the UI part. Okay. So now let's go to folder. So I have already installed Angular 21. So by default, it will Angular 21 project we will do. So let's open a new terminal. In this folder, I will be doing it. Command prompt. Now we have to create a new project. So ng new project name employee manage app. Fine. This is just my project name. Enter. Now in Angular 21, by default, our application is zoneless. Previously used to ask that do you need a zoneless application or not? But now by default it is zoneless only. Okay. I'm going with CSS. Second question, do you need a server-side rendering or not? So we will say no. Enter. Then one more extra thing is there. Now while creating AI, while creating project itself, it is providing you the model like Cursor, Gemini, GitHub, J10, right? Which model means while working, it will, if you select any model, it will provide you so many things, good programming practice and everything it will provide. Okay. So currently we don't have to do anything. So I will simply go with none. Okay. It is installing package. Let it happen. Okay. So for now, I will open the new VS Code. Now we have to open the specific folder. That npm install will take some time. Open folder, localhost Angular 21, and our project name is employee manage app. This is the folder what is we have created. We have to select this. Okay. So once till this process is going on, npm installation is going on, we won't be able to find that node module package message. Once that is done, then node module folder will be created. Till now, we will create our component. Now, this is an admin app. This is not a website, right? So when we talk about admin app, by default, only login page should be visible. Once login is success, then we should go inside the application. Then that navbar and everything should be visible. So admin kind of application structure we are going to have. So for that, we need the login page. So right click. I'm creating a folder inside app that will be pages. Now in pages, we have to create the required component. Let's open a new terminal. ng generate component. Let's say first component login component I'm creating. Now, if user is not logged in, your app component will be your parent component. But once user login, after that, that navbar will be there and then reactivated route component will be visible. So for that, parallelly, one more parent component you will create where you will have the navbar. So I will say header component or layout, anything name, enter. So this is the two components I have created. After that, one component to do the CRUD operation of employee. So employee form. In this component, we will just have the employee form. Then we need one more component to show the employee list. One component to do the CRUD of designation, department, and then designation. And one more extra component, since it's an admin application, every admin application will have a dashboard page, right? So dashboard component also. We didn't create any API, but we can create that also. Dashboard. So these are the components what we are going to need. Okay. Now, once you are done with creating the component, next thing you have to create the routes. As our application is an admin application, by default only login page should be visible. So routing structure will be little bit different. So first your default route. So path colon empty redirect to, will take some time to identify this route just for the first time. See, it is not suggesting that redirect to. So we have to give some time. Now see, okay. If you are creating a default route, if you don't have anything in URL, by default you will redirect to the login page, login route, path match strategy full we need to pass. Then our login route. So path, route name is login, component, your login component. Fine. Now once you log in, after that you have to navigate him inside the application. So in app component, you won't have anything. In app component, you will just have the router outlet, nothing else. Okay. Navbar will be inside your header component. So now here, one more route you will create. Path, it will be empty, but component will be your header component. Okay. And all the component which you are going to access after the login will be children of this header component, because this is going to be acting as a parent for all the route which you are going to access after the login. So children, and here again, all the routes will be there. Path, dashboard, component, dashboard component. Like that, we have to create all the routes. Path, new employee, component, employee form. Okay, just like that, we have to create. Now, see, I will show you the use of Copilot also. Okay, now we have to manually create it. Obviously, it will take some time, but let's say you have so many components, you want to create the route. So you can take the help of Copilot also. Let's save it. Now, what I need to create the routes of remaining component. So what I will say, create routes of remaining components into children. That's it. Okay. The mode is agent mode. Continue. Again, it's a free version, so it is little bit slow. So it should not create this repeated. It will try to read it like how many components is already created. See, it is thinking what components are remaining, like that it will create. See, it is reading department, designation, employee list. So let's give it some time. Now it has created a to-do plan. What he has to do. App route file he has selected. See, got it? So remaining file it has created. So just like this, small things are there which might need our time. So instead of doing that, creating class, creating interfaces, right? If your UI is very static, why to waste time designing? You can ask Copilot to do it, right? So that you can focus on the functionality. Fine. Now our routing is ready. But we just created an empty project. We created component, we created route. We need the bootstrap for designing, right? So how do we install the bootstrap? So you have to go to npm, search for bootstrap. You need the command to install the bootstrap. Npm I bootstrap, the latest version 5.3.8, it will install. So copy it. Then you need to open a new terminal on the root level and you will install it. Okay. So once you install it, it will add an entry in package.json also. See, this is the default packages what we get. See, it has added the entry 5.3.8. So you install the bootstrap, but now you cannot use it. You need to add the link into your angular.json also in CSS array. Let me get that. I have it already. Node. Okay, so this path you need to add it over here in style array. Fine. Now you can use the bootstrap. You install the package. After that in angular.json, you have to add the entries of it. All the external packages we use like this. Now, let's try to run the application ngs. Now in our app component, currently we just have router outlet, nothing else, right? Let's try to save it. Is it compiled? Yes. So by default, you see login component got rendered. Even if I remove this login and if I enter, still it is redirecting to login. That is happening because of your default route, what we created. Okay. If it was not there, nothing will be visible. But we had created our default route. That's why it is loading by default this page. Fine. Now we need the login UI. API is also ready, right? So we need the login UI. So again, for everything static UI generation, I'll be using the Copilot only. So now, what was the object? Let's ask it to create. So now in add context, you can add the file where you actually need the changes, or you can just open it. If you open it, it will by default select that also, whatever the open file you have. So I will say create a login page with Bootstrap as I have already installed it. Fine. Use some animation. What else we need? And we don't want the Angular code because it is already know key this is an Angular project. So if you don't specify that don't write any Angular code, it will do everything. It will write the basic function also. Okay. So what we need to say, just provide static HTML page. Don't do any Angular code. So now it will only create the HTML page static without any Angular. If you don't mention it now, it will create object also. It will bind it with using ng model, everything it will create. I think it will add Bootstrap CDN link. Why it is again saying we already mentioned that I have already installed it, but let's see what it does. I'm also thinking to purchase the paid one because it takes so much. Oh my God. You have reached the monthly chat limit. Okay. So I'm using so much now. So I think the monthly chat limit has expired. Let's switch back to our chat GPT. Where was it? Yeah. So here I will ask same prompt. I will use it over here. Create a login page with Bootstrap. We don't need to say this over here. Let's see. Okay, so some CSS it is adding. Let it complete, and then we will copy. Fine. So from body we will copy. This code will go to our login component. Now this is not of our use. Then we need the CSS. So let's copy footer. We are not going to need it. Copy and CSS over here. But if you see the CSS, in CSS now in our HTML page, we don't have a body. So what we can do, we can replace that with parent div. And this class, we can again add a parent div over here. Dot parent. So that it will act as our parent component. Sorry, parent div. We don't need footer. Let's save, let's check what login page we have got. Okay, so see, we got the login page. Icon is not coming because here you can see it has considered that we have font awesome or something, but we don't have, right? So for now, what I will do, I will just copy this font awesome link and I will put it into my index.html. Normally we don't do this. Okay, we should install everything just to see that. See, now icons are also coming. So now just imagine like if you have to create a login page, as simple as that. This is not very complex login page, right? You will at least need 2 to 3 hours to make a center, to use icon, how you bind this icon and with the same parallel width and height, right? Background color, font color, right? We will need at least 2 hours. Let's say 1 hour maximum. That work got quickly done because of AI, right? So that remaining thing you can focus on the actual functionality, right? Now, let's run the application. First, we will do the login, but currently we don't have any record. So let's not, or let me add the record from the DB first side. So department, we had some record, right? Let's see how many records we have in department. Okay, so QA department is there. Let's add HR department also. Okay, HR department I have added. Then in HR department, we have to add designation also. As I said, for one department, there will be multiple designation, right? So now we have to add that. Department ID. What's the department ID of HR? 4. 4 will be there. And designation name. Let's say onboarding. Onboarding people are there, right? Who does our onboarding? So onboarding. Then let's say uh, associate HR or something. Fine. So for role, for department HR, we have created 2 designation. Now we can create an employee because in employee table, we are going to need the designation ID. Without designation ID, we cannot create. So let's say Samir. I'm just creating a dummy record now. Mobile number I will use as 1111222233. Samir @gmail.com. City Pune, Maharashtra, pin code, alternate contact number, something. This is designation ID, right? Yeah, designation ID. So now designation ID is 1 for the onboarding specialist. Created date and this is optional. Role is HR. Okay, so our record got created. Now with this, we will be able to log in. For login, we'll be using his credentials. Fine. Now our application is running on this port. Okay. Now for our login API, what data we need to pass? Contact number and the email, right? So in login component, what do we need to do? So first I will go with very basic. So let's say template form you have. So what you do? Login obj : I'm going with any, but After in next component, we will create class and interface. Now what you need to pass object where you have email ID and the password. So email colon empty. Then we don't have a password, but what we are comparing with contact number. So contact number colon empty. Fine. Now we created the object. This object we need to bind to our form. So we are going to use ng model template form. So we need to import forms module. Okay. Then in the HTML, we need to bind it. So over here, square bracket, round bracket, ng model, your login object dot email. You will bind it over here. Same like that to the password field, instead of password, contact number. Fine. Since we are using ng model inside a form tag, so that name attribute will also get mandatory. So name is equal to email. Why we are getting error? Let's check. Contact number. Let me check what is that. Okay, it is success now. What was this? Okay, so this is new thing. Previously, this error we used to get it on the runtime, but now this error is coming on the compile time also. So in Angular 21, this is the new feature we have got, right? If you have used this error, we previously we used to not get this error in the compile, right? Directly runtime in the console we used to get it, but that error you are getting over here also now. Okay, this is also new thing what they have done. Now remember we don't need it, so let's remove it. Now, on click of submit, we have to do the API call integration. Means on click of login, we have to do API call integration. Now, how do we do the API call integration? In Angular, we have HTTP client. Now we can create the instance of our HTTP. So HTTP is equal to inject HTTP client. Fine. Now on login function round bracket here this dot HTTP dot post API. Our login API is the post API. Now we need the URL also, right? So our URL will be API slash, what's our controller name? We didn't implement the Swagger, so manually we have to create all the APIs. Employee master slash, what was the method name we said for the login? Yeah, login. So this will be our login URL. So let's copy URL. Post API needs two things, URL and the object also. Object is nothing but your object. So this dot login object, then dot subscribe, round bracket, curly bracket, next colon, round bracket, result colon any. This is your success call. If we got error, so that we need error block also. Okay, let's add debugger everywhere. Here also, and here also before calling the function. So whenever you are learning something new, always try to debug everything. Now this function we need to call on this button. So click function round bracket. Okay. Now let's see API call, everything is working fine or not. So first I'm passing the wrong credential. Let's add a debugger over here also. Okay. So now you get to see if once you integrate any API, so how does it works? Okay. Now if I click on login, API call is not there. Now we are getting CORS error. Let's see if CORS error is there or not. Yeah. So see, now we got CORS error. So what we did, we created API and we directly run it on the local and we are trying to access it. Now you see our Angular project is running on this port and our API project is running on something different. So this is cross domain. Two different domains are there. Two different origins are there. So on API side, what we need to do, we need to create a CORS policy. Okay. So that the incoming port, we will allow it just like kind of a whitelisting. Okay. So we have to stop the API project in our program.cs. We have to create the CORS policy to allow some particular port number. So in builder, dot services dot add course, and we have to create our first course. We can create multiple policies also. Okay, so option like this. Let's say enable all all. Yeah, on the Angular side also we can create, but normally not in every project on the Angular side we implement the course policy and everything. I think I have created a video like how do we create that, how do we disable that course policy on the Angular side also. We can do on the Angular side also. So here we are saying allow any header, allow any method, allow any origin. So if you say allow any origin, that's it. So now we should be able to integrate. Let's see now. Okay, so this is one we have done. Then I think at the bottom also app.useCast we need to do or no. Just a moment. App.useCourse and the policy name enable all. Let's see if it works or not. Otherwise, I will check the existing project. Fine. Let's try running now. This was the existing error. Our API is running now. Yeah. Now let's try. Login. Continue. We got error. Still course error is there. Bad request. Why? Email and contact number. Email field is valid. Okay. We copy pasted, right? See what happened now. When you created the email, when we created this model here, you see we added the validation email address. So that's why it is validating. Okay. So let's pass the right email. Because on the model, we have added the validation. This is required and pattern is email address. And we didn't pass any email address. So at the rate gmail.com, login, continue. Now you see we got the debugger on the API side. See this debugger was activated. Now if you check the model, whatever you pass from the API, we get it on the API side like this. Now we are checking if in my table, in employee table, I have the record with this email ID and this contact number. I don't have it. So by default, it will be null. Why it's breaking? Designation, invalid column name designation. Okay, here it is checking for. Because, but wait, here only it breaked. Why designation it is breaking? It should have breaked over here. Invalid column name designation. Let me check if in my employee model we have this property present or no. Okay. Yeah. So see, in our table, in employee table, I don't know, like while doing copy pasting, we did that or what. In our employee table, we don't have any property designation name. See, but in our model, it is present. Okay. So if some property you have added in model and that is not present in your column, you will get the error like that, that this property, this column does not exist. So that's why what number of columns you have it over there, same number of columns we keep it over here. Okay. Now let's run it again. Now it should work fine. Where it is breaking in update API. This also it is breaking. Let's run now. Let's try again. Login, continue. We got the debugger. Mm, Hot reload, so changes rebuild resulted in the build error. Where build error? Disable hot reload. Okay. Now, if you see the email, whatever we pass, it doesn't exist. So we got null over here. Whatever the credential, whatever the record you are trying to find with this email ID and with this contact number doesn't exist, right? So we got null. If it is null, we are rating unauthorized. Okay. Continue. And in the UI side, see our error block got executed and whatever the message you sent that you got it over here. So error.error.message. So that you can display. So over here, alert error.error.message. Okay. If it is success, we have to navigate him inside the application. So for navigation from .ts, we need the router service. So router is equal to inject router we need to inject. Then if login is API success, this next block will execute. So now this dot router dot navigate by URL and what where you should navigate after login, let's say dashboard you want to navigate. So that dashboard route you have to provide over there. This route will go over here. And while doing the login means once you are navigating, you need to store the logged in data also. So we will store that into our local storage, session storage, cookies, service variable, anywhere you can store. Okay. This is very famous question they are asking. Where you will store? According to the security requirement and our need, we somehow store the local storage data also. Sometimes we go for session. Sometimes we store in cookie also. If they say that data is visible, we can store it in service variable also. Okay. So these are the possible ways how we can store. Set item. Now the key employee emp login user. This is the key. JSON. Now local storage can only allow string type of data. So JSON.stringify, we are converting whatever the object we get, result dot data. Because see, from the API side, if it is success, what we are returning? Object. And inside that object in data, we have got the actual object, right? So that's why I'm extracting result dot data. Okay. And let's keep this before navigating. Let's test it one more time. Continue. Let's pass the wrong credential. We need to see that error. Continue. Wait. Yeah, now debugger came. See, invalid credential. So whatever the API return that we are able to show. Now let's pass the correct credential. So correct credential is samir@gmail.com and pass mobile number was 1111 like this. Copy, paste, login. Continue. Now see, we got the correct credential data. Now let's check what do we get it over here. Why data is null? Which data is null? Okay, created data and this is null. So that's why it is breaking. 29/11/2025. This data is null. That's why it is breaking. Okay. Let me move back over here again. Won't allow now. Let's try again. Continue. Login. Now we should get the date. Still, which property is null now? Alternate contact number. So, oh my God. We didn't make it non-nullable. So that's why it is breaking. Let's continue. Login. Now it should be success. Let's try. Okay. So now user see, now user is not null. We got the complete user, complete employee data you got. Okay. It means it is not null. So it will go to the other part and it will return the model on click of continue. Now our next block should execute. success block. Why it is taking so much time? Okay. So now here you can see from our API, we return the object, same object you got it over here. And in this object data property, you got the whole object. Okay. That you are storing to the local storage. And after login, you are navigating to the dashboard. See, we are successfully navigating to the dashboard, but header component is getting loaded. That's why, because dashboard component is a children of your header component. Now in header component, you need the navbar. Fine. Again, we will move towards the chat GPT. Now let's say you need, instead of using that normal bootstrap navbar, let's use the sidebar. So I will say I am working on Angular admin app. I need a sidebar design with collapse functionality also. Toggle also. Fine. I'm using Bootstrap and font awesome. Add some navigation also. Fine. Let's see. Now we said like I'm working on Angular project, so the ready-made code it will give you. You just have to copy paste. Wait, why it is giving HTML page again? I said boots. Mm, it is providing us a it is provided us that HTML thing only. Can you provide Angular code itself? We said so that I'm working on Angular, but again somehow it has given us the normal HTML. Okay, so now it is converting into proper Angular code, HTML and the template. Okay, so we need these two variable just to toggle that is it collapse or not. Header component, we need these two variable and a function to change it. And the HTML part, let's copy the HTML part over here. It needs some CSS also. Let's get the CSS and paste it over here. Now in HTML, we are getting error for the router outlet. So obviously we need to import it. Router outlet. So there is an intro question, can we have more than one router outlet? So in app component also we have, in header component also we have. Yes, so we can have multiple. Okay. Again, ngif they have used. So let's import ngif also. It is deprecated, but still we are able to use it. Okay. Let's save it. Let's see if our navbar is working now. Why it is taking time? Yeah. So see, we got a navbar with toggle also. Imagine the same thing if you have to design this, how much time you would have taken, right? Okay. So till now we completed login API integration and the basic. Now three modules are remaining: designation, department, and the employee part. Okay. Okay. So we started employee management application. It is a full stack application, means from database, then we have written the API, then we have started the Angular, right? Let me open the database also just to revise, see how many things we have done till now. So this was the API project where we created all the models. Then we created department API, designation API, employee API, right? And on the Angular side also we created all the component and we completed just the basic login functionality. So login, we were able to do it, but login, yeah, it was coming from API, right? So let me check the data API slash, I want to check the existing you employee. So employee controller, I'm just checking how many existing users are there. Then our get method, get all. Why it is not allowing? HTTP get only, no? Let's check in the database. Our database name was employee manage DB. Employee sometimes take time to open. But why I'm not able to access this API? Okay, sorry, employee master is my controller name, and we just provided employee. So controller name was wrong. Now it will get you. One or more validation error. The value get all is not valid. Why get all? HTTP get. So get API only. Why we are not able to access this? This is also not open yet. What went wrong? The value get all is not a function. Let's check adding a debugger. Now it is coming, but with the routing, it is not coming. Okay, so this is the employee I think we have created from the database itself. So for logging, we are using email as a username and contact as a password. So let's try to log in first. Your login. Let's try the wrong password. On click of login, it is coming over here. Whatever the data you pass, that you are able to see. See the wrong password I'm passing. Now we are checking if the username has the email ID and the password is the same. So currently password we are passing wrong. So by default it is null. If it is null, we are rating unauthorized, means wrong credential. So here you get it wrong credential. Let's pass the correct credential. That will be your mobile number as a password. So if I pass it over here, we got the debugger, continue. So see, we are able to log in. Okay. Let's check database is open up. Yeah, now it is. Still it is in the expanding mode. Let it be. We don't need that. Now, on Angular side, we completed the login part. Now, how many APIs we have? Basically, we created our designation table, department table, and then employee table. So first, before starting with the designation, before starting with employee, first we need to complete our master, because in employee form, we are going to have a drop down of designation, and designation will come once we add it, right? So first we will start our designation component, sorry, department, because again in the designation, we have a dependency of department. Okay, HTML and CSS. It has open or not? No. Now we need we are starting the CRUD operation. Okay. Let me unmute. Okay. So whenever we start the CRUD operation, what things we need to cover first of all? You can unmute. Let's say you are starting working on a CRUD operation. You have the API ready. What things you have to do on the UI side?
Form.
So first, what you will do?
Forms.
UI design, right?
Yeah.
Not just form, table also and the form also.
Yeah.
Then what normally things you should cover whenever you are working on a CRUD operation?
Routing.
Routing we have already created, I think, or no?
Okay.
We have created routing already. Just focus on the CRUD design. Okay? You have got a task in interview and they have provided you 4 APIs to do the CRUD operation. What things you will cover in the CRUD operation? UI design will be there. API integration. This is two major things. But again, so many small things also we have to take care. What are those? Whenever you create a variable, you should not go with any. So what we need to do for that?
Interface your class, something.
Right? Interface or class you have to create. API call, where we can write the API call?
The environment also, the otherwise service.
Right? But always our API call should get moved to our service, right? So API call in service. What else you can do?
And for base URL, we can create the environment in
Right? That is very advanced part that we would do it. Just focus on the component and the service. So we completed our UI designing, then we created variable, API integration, everything is done. We will create interface and class API call, we will move it to the service. What else? Form validation. Correct, na? So if you have to do the basic CRUD operation, not on the advanced level, we have very basic, one medium, and then advanced, right? So at least in medium, you have to complete all these things. Correct? Okay. Now we have to check the object what we have in the department. So in department, we just have department name and is active. Now it's a very small form, right? It has a very two, it is paint. It has a very small form, right? So normally how CRUD design also there. First, like what we normally do. Here you will show the list and here you will show the form. This is one way, right? Another way, only one list will be, only one will be there and you will hide or show the form. That is also there. But in our scenario, we just have one text box, one text box and one element. So shall we go for any of it or we should think of something else? It's a very small form, right? Or again, we can go for a model pop-up also, right? Anything else? We can go for selecting UI design. Sanjita, you have done something different, right? In some of the page.
Yes.
What was that? So let's say here you have the table. Above the table only, here two text box you can have and a button with save. Correct? Because our form is very small. So why to create this much UI also? Na? You can have the table over here. Here you will have the table data with edit and delete button. And here you will have the form. Make sense? Why we should go for this design? Okay, so let's go for this design. So again, we will use ChatGPT only to create the UI. ChatGPT. Okay, I need UI design for CRUD operation. I think we have followed one chat box, but I forgot that where I have done that. So I need UI design for CRUD operation where I have only two fields. So department name and is active. Okay. Create table where I will show data and above table I need row call 3 text box call 2 checkbox and 2 buttons save and reset. Use bootstrap. Correct? This should be your prompt, na? What we designed, that same thing we are asking it. And one just provide static HTML page. No need of JavaScript. Because whenever you add the CRUD word, na, it will provide you the JavaScript code also. If you don't specify any technology. Okay, let's see. Or you could have taken a snapshot of this and you could have put it over there also. That will also work. You didn't have to write this much prompt also. Okay, it will understand that. Completed. Yeah, I will copy everything, then I will remove the remaining thing. So UI only we need, paste. HTML and body tag, we don't need it. Let's save. Let's try department. Okay, I think we didn't do the routing. So our navbar is in our header component, right? So in header component, we have this navbar. Now here, department is there. Okay, DEPT. Save. Okay, ngif is there. Yep, is there. Okay, fine. So if I click on department, why it's not loading? We don't have any error. Try to think and why it is not loading. Tell me. We have router link over here. Route name is also correct, but why it is not loading?
Import.
Which import? Right? If we are using router link, we need to import it also. Okay. Router link, because this is very exceptional case where they don't show you error also. Okay. Now, if you click on department, see component is getting loaded. Clear? Now, but why UI is not updated? Say department only. Okay. So see, we got the UI. So whatever the UI we ask, same UI it has created. Okay. Some extra spacing is there at the top. Let's get rid of that. MT5, MT1. Okay. We got the UI ready. Right? So whenever you start working on any CRUD operation, either you are working on a actual company work task or you are appearing for a machine test, right? Always complete the UI first. Then go by step, create variable where you store the object, bind that, then you start the API integration. Your way of completing CRUD operation should be fixed. Means every time you don't have to wonder what I should do. Everyone should, whatever the way you are comfortable, that you should carry forward. Okay. Now our UI is ready. Now we have to create the interface. Fine. So what we will do, we will create one more folder that will be models. And inside this model, you will create your first interface class. So department.model.ts. Okay. So in login form, we didn't created any class or interface, I think. Let me check one more time. Yeah, so see, here we have gone with any. So when you try to access properties over here, it doesn't provide any IntelliSense because we have gone with anything it can be there. So it doesn't show, right? But now if you create the interface of it, it will start suggesting that strongly typing what we are doing. Okay. So now here, what we need to create, class or interface? What we should go? We should go for a class or interface.
Sir, when we use the class and when we use interface, because both getting the confused.
Whenever you are binding it with the form, you have to go for a class. If it is just an array you are holding, go for an interface. Got it? Because in form, you have to initialize your variable, na?
Okay.
Okay. Export class department model. Okay. Now, whatever the properties we have, that you have to create. Department ID, data type is integer, so number. Then department name, data type is string. We didn't implement the Swagger, so manually we have to copy paste from over here. Colon string. And third property is our Boolean. So this is the third property. Okay. Now we created a class and whatever the properties we have, property is nothing but variable we created. We have an access to the constructor because we are in the class. So we have to initialize all the property. Primary key ID. What do we initialize primary key with? How do we initialize primary key? Null, undefined, 0.
0.
0 only, right? So this dot department name, it will be with empty of value. Is active, we will say it false. Okay. So you created a class with what number of properties that API particularly required, that property we have created. Now in your component. So here you have to create object, new department object. Data type will be instead of any, now we'll be using department model. Since it's a class, you can use new operator to initialize your class so that constructor will get executed. And the properties over here won't be undefined, it will be initialized. You created class, that class you bind it over here. Now in HTML, right side.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Why will, like, instead of interface, why will you create class?
Because we needed this initialization. If you go for an interface now, everywhere, wherever you are using that interface, you have to initialize it manually. In case of class, you have it at a single place.
Well, it is good, class only good, not interface. But whether which one
No.
is better?
It's not. Whenever you are binding this variable with your form, this new object variable, you are binding it with form, right?
Yes.
So in case of form, go for a class. If let's say department list is there, it's just an array. So go for an interface.
Okay.
Something which needs initialization, we have to go for a class. Which doesn't need initialization, we go for an interface. Okay. Now, so this we need to bind it over here. Square bracket, round bracket, ng.
So
Now,
department ID is automatic generated.
yeah, that's why we are sending 0 from over here. So database
Okay.
will take care of that, right?
Okay. Okay. If we not send anything, then
You will get error because the in database side you have it marked as a int, na? So invalid body you will get, na?
okay.
Right?
Understood. Yeah.
Okay. Now why we are getting the error over here? If we are using ng model, we have to import the forms model, na?
Form model.
Okay. So now you are already working. You have completed 2 batch. You have to think,
Yes, sir.
right?
But last 3 months, I'm not using a single line coding Angular because
But see, in company, even though you are working on .NET, on a personal time, have touch with Angular. Otherwise, you will forget everything.
yeah, that's the reason. And
Okay.
your I think all Angular batch you are coming in morning, so I am not attend that also. It's a very
Don't need to,
difficult
but
for.
at least start one project and start working on it. Create API, integrate that over here, right? Okay.
Yes.
So, and while creating the form, we don't have form tag, so that name attribute is not mandatory. Now on click of save. So on click, sorry, click on save department. Okay, let's create this function. Now from this function, we have to do the API call integration. So in login component, we did the API call integration from the component itself, right? Here only we injected our HTTP client. Here only we have written the API call. Okay, but now we will move it to our service. So now we have to create our own service. So just like pages model, we will create one more folder to store all our services. See, only one thing is there, work daily. Don't get limited to your company's work. Company's work, you get very limited work and that's how you focus. Have personal project going on always. Try to think advanced things, what you can do. That's how you master, or that's how you get your hands dirty. Okay, and that's how you build up your confidence, logic building, problem solving, everything. Just working daily, right? That's the thing. Or at least for next 6 months. Once you invest that 6 months now, after that, even if you are not in touch with now, that things will get in your mind. You just need to revisit basic things. That's it.
Yeah. Now I will try every Saturday, Sunday. I
Right?
will create one
At least 1 or 2 hours you can
Yeah.
invest, and you have to invest. Okay. Now, let's say ng generate. Now we have to create the service. So service. Now I will create a master service. So API, 2 components are there, department and designation. Both are master kind of data. So all the API call related to that, both the component, we will move to our single service. Okay. Now, so this is your service. Now here you have to inject your HTTP. HTTP is equal to inject HTTP client. Okay. Then, so here, first API call, that is get all department. Okay. You have to return, because whatever the API call data you are going to get, that you are simply going to return. So this dot HTTP dot get API call, our API call now. Okay. Now our API is running on a specific port. So till over here, this will be constant. Then your controller name and method name will keep on changing. So this constant URL, you will put it into one other variable, API URL data type string is equal to double quote. Common URL you have put it over here. So here this dot API URL plus, now you need controller name and the action name. So we'll go to the department. So our controller name is department master. Controller name slash our actual method name, get all department. Okay, this is our API call function ready. Now On the page load, we need to call this API call function. But before that, first we need to inject our department master service over here, right? So for that, master service is equal to inject master. Okay. Now, okay, sorry, before saving, we need one more function, get all departments. Okay. Here, this dot master service dot, currently we just have one function, get all department, dot subscribe, round bracket, curly bracket, enter. Next, result colon. Now this API is also returning the object array of this. So this return type you can provide over here. I think we will get error because here also we need to specify. Or let's not do in this function, as the remaining function I will go. So for now I'm keeping it as any. Okay. Now whatever the data you get, that you need to store. So department list data type will be this type of array only we are going to get. So square bracket is equal to empty. Now this dot DEPT list is equal to result. But I think this is an Angular 21 project. So we have to go with signal only. Let me show you the issue, what issue is there, then we will convert it. Now this function we need to call on the page load. So we have to implement our lifecycle event, implement on init. Fine. And after variable declaration in on it will be there. This dot get all department, this function will call on the page load. Let us see if API call is happening or not. Network reload. We are getting error. Why? And it is 200. Okay, wait. XHR 404. Why it is saying 404? With the method we are not able. Okay. What is wrong over here? Why we are getting 404?
URL is wrong.
API we need slash.
Right? Slash is needed. So here we can put it. Okay. You got the debugger over here. API call, it found the API. Continue. We got the response. See, there's many data we created from the database. Okay, data is coming. Now data get stored into this variable. So this we need to bind it to our table. So @for loop variable, and this tr we need to put it inside this. Let's remove the static one. Okay. Here you need to show the index. We don't show the primary key anywhere in our application. Now, nowadays they are asking this question also. Can we show primary key in our UI? Or shall we show? We should not show primary key anywhere. Okay. Item dot. See, once I write dot, you are getting that all the properties IntelliSense. This is because instead of going with any, we binded this with our specific class. Okay. Item dot is active. Let's say it is coming. Okay. But if I reload, see properly, API call will happen. But data is not visible. See, API call happen, but data is not visible. Let me show you debug also. What is our component? Department. This is the problem with from Angular 21 you are going to face. Let's reload. Continue. Continue. API call triggered. Response is also we have sent. Why debugger is not executed? Yeah. Debugger we have got. See, we got 4 array, and that we are storing into our department list also. Department list has the data, but now in the UI it is still not rendering. Why? It should work, right? But why it is not rendering on the UI? Very straightforward code, na?
We have to use signals.
Right? Because in Angular 21, by default project is with zoneless. So if your variable value get changed and any change detection is not happening, now if I click on the save button, na, see, now change detection happen. So it is showing. So now on, while working on Angular 21, you should not go for a normal variable like this if this variable is getting connected with your UI. Okay. So equal to signal of what data type you are going to store, array of this. One bracket initialize with here. Okay. Now, since it's a signal, what method you have to use it over here? Can we do this?
Update or set?
Set method.
No,
We don't want to
set
consider the previous data, no? So set method. Whenever you have to consider the previous data, then update method. Okay. Same thing in HTML also. Now it's an signal, so we access as a method. Signal is very important right now. Something is not saved. So why it's not coming? Below. Okay, debugger is there. Let me remove this. Okay, so when you have refreshed, now you are able to see the data. Clear? So from Angular 21, you have to be so careful when to go for a normal variable, when to go for a signal. If you are using a variable in a HTML and that value is going to change after loading of the component, you have to go for a signal only. Okay. If you are creating a variable and that in the .ts only you are going to use it. So no need to go for a signal, go for a normal variable. But if that variable is getting to be binded on HTML, go for a signal itself. Okay. Now get API call is done. Just like that, remaining API also. So department. This is the post API call. Post API call need the object. So object colon. What type of data you are going to get? Department model itself. Just like this. Dot post API. This is your URL. Let's get the URL for save. Add department. Second parameter, whatever the object you get. Obj. Okay. Now your save API call is ready in your service. Now in your component.ts, this function is already there. So this dot master service dot this function. What this function needs? Object. So this is the object which you bind it to the form. This you will pass it over here. Again dot subscribe. Next colon. This is your success block, then error block. Okay, let's add debugger everywhere. Debug it properly every time. See what data you are getting. Okay. If it is success, alert department created success. Okay, error I will show you. On the save button, we are already calling the function. So these are the existing department what we have. Let's try to create new one. Let's say DevOps. It is active. Let's enable the debugger. On click of save, our function got triggered. Hover on this object. See, we are getting the value. Department ID is coming from your class constructor. Remaining two values you are getting from the UI. Let's add a debugger on the API side also. Whatever the data you are passing, that you will get it over here. Continue. See, if you hover over here, whatever the data you pass, that same data you got it. Now you are checking if whatever the department I have passed is already exist or not. Currently it is not there. So we will get it null. Oh my God, it is false. So with single or default, we get that null, but with any, we get true or false. Okay, so no any. You remember, you know this? Any? So no? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. With single or default or first or default, we get null. But with any, we get false. Okay. So if it is false, see now it is our code got broken, right? Because we vice versa it will not, because previously we were getting false. Okay. So let's change it. If exist equal to false, then we have to return the bad request with saying department should have, no, my God, it was correct only, na? We got false. Yeah, stop it. Let me run it again. Because if it was true, then only we have to show this. I think this any we got, I don't know which C# version we got. Previously, it was not there. Single, first or default, only two things I was using. Let's try again on click of save. So this is not exist, so it is false. So it will go and it will save. Okay, continue. Okay, so I don't know, like when we return okay, now it is always going to the error block. If we are returning okay, it should go to our success block, but it goes to error. So normally when with the create API and the post API, instead of okay, I use created. Then it will go to the success block. Created needs object and the value, I think. So department object, I will pass it over here. Okay. Now your success department is created, but in the Angular side, it was going to the error block because we return with okay. I think we need to return the status also along with it if we are using okay. Let's try one more time. Let's reload. See, payoffs. So the record is created. Okay. Let's try another one. Let's again go with DevOps value so that we can check the else case also. False. Now the DevOps department is already exists. So here you will get true. See, if it is true, we are returning bad request. Okay. So here you can see 400. Department name must be unique. Okay. So we have to show this error also. Why did Let's try again. We have to show the respective error also now in the error block. So here error dot error. So that we will show. So alert error dot error only we are getting it. Let's try it one more time. So if we pass the same department name, try to create it again, we should get to the error block. See, alert dot error, it will be visible. Now user will understand that there is some unique record we need to pass. Okay. Be on mute. So here, let's say information tester. DBA database people. On click of save. Now this record doesn't exist, so we should be able to create it. Okay, it is getting created. Continue. See, now success block got executed. Okay. And then we will show our error. So created. Okay. But after creating again, my data didn't get updated. So for that, you can call this function again. So the updated record also will be visible. Marketing. Let me remove the debugger now. So if I click on save, I got the alert and see data is also visible. Got it? So we are able to create the department, validation is also covered, and once you add, the table is also showing the updated value. Clear? Now, edit and the delete. So in the gate API only we are getting all the data what you need in the form. So simple table, one click of edit. Click it. We have to pass the whole item, whole object. Let's create this function. While calling this function, we are passing the department object, right? So that you need to catch. Again, you need to provide the proper data type. And whatever the data you get, that you bind to the new object is equal to this. Okay. So with this, your form will be populated with the data, whatever you click. See, form is getting populated. Okay. If you are in the edit mode, instead of say we have to show the update button, how do you know you are in the update mode? Because of the primary key. So here at the rate if your department object dot department ID is equal to 0 0 means you are creating a new record. So we have to save to the save button. Else, if the department ID is there, you have to show the update button. Okay. Update. Warning. Reload. Save button by default. If I click on edit, see update button we got. On click of reset, what we should do?
Clear the textbook.
Means basically what you will do? Yeah, clearing the
Form reset.
form reset. But again, what I have to do? To reset the form, what I have to do?
Which kind of form is created? Template one.
Template.
So form dot reset.
No. Why you will form dot reset? That will be in the reactive form, na? You have template form. What you will do?
Assign dummy object, blank object.
Object only we have to initialize, na?
Yes.
With empty value. So this is the object which we connected with the class, right? So same line we have to put it over there again. That's it. You are calling the constructor again. So your form constructor will again get executed and all the properties will be initialized. That's it. See. You have the form. If I click on reset, again you have the save button. Clear? Now the update thing. For update, we have a different API. That is update department and the action is put. Okay. Here also we need to make it created. Or let's try status code over here. Status code dot create. How do we pass? Sonu, how do we pass? With OK also, I think we can pass the specific status code over. How many constructor it has? Okay. Why it is not showing status code 200? One more is there, na? Comma This is object and value. Second is directly okay. Little bit, I will check later. Let's go with this. Okay. That's fine. So on the update button, we just need to call the different function on update. So again, we have to go to our master. We have to copy paste this. One more method. API call will be put update department, and method name also will get changed. Update department. Okay. Sometimes in the update API, we have to pass the ID also, but our API is like that. We don't have to pass the ID, just the object itself we have to pass. And from object, we are extracting the ID. But normally all the update API will have ID and the object. Okay. But how we developed it doesn't have that. Now in your function, just like save department, I'm copy pasting on update department. Okay. Here update function department updated success and the save API call. Fine. Let's check. So let's say QA automation plus. Now you see, whenever I'm typing it over here, here also it is getting reflected. This should not happen, right? Why it is happening like this? Whenever I'm typing
Because
over
same-
here, in the
same
table also
input.
it is getting updated. Why it is happening like this?
NG model you are using, and
So what we did on click of edit, whatever the object we got, that we directly assigned over here. So it holds the reference with that array and the specific object. So we need to detach that reference. How do we detach that reference? No one has faced this problem yet,
you will create one new constant for that and you will assign the data.
right? We create a new variable, we destroy that, we convert it into stringify so that it will detach that connection. Okay. String data JSON dot stringify, and you will pass data over here. You converted your object into string. Again, you convert it to data. Parse object JSON dot parse. Here you will pass this converted string. And now this you will parse data. This you will assign it over here. Now it's a complete different thing because you detach that connection. Okay. See now. Edit. See, it is not reflecting now. Okay. So QA automation. Okay. Let's check the network if API call is happening or not. On click of update. Function is getting called. Continue. Yeah. Department update success. After that, we did the API call, so it is also visible. Okay. Now the last one is department. Department, delete department, HTTP put API, and we need to pass the ID. Okay. Let's check. Here also we need to.
One small question.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, Sanjita. Okay. Now this department API we have to integrate. So in the table, we have delete button. Now what delete API needs? Just the ID. Okay. So from the delete button, we will just pass the ID itself instead
Hi,
of passing the.
Chetan.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Actually, in update, we will use ID also, right? ID and object we will take, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. But our API is not like that. If API is like that, then only you will pass.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Now on delete, we just need department ID. We don't need the whole object, so we will pass this on delete. Okay, I'm just again copy pasting this function, and while calling this function, we are getting the ID. So let's catch it. Now in the service also, we need to create one function on delete department by ID. And from we will be needing the ID. So here, number data type. Our API call, that is delete department. This we have to pass it over here. Question mark ID equal to whatever the ID you get, that you will pass it over here. Plus, so dynamic URL you are creating, and here delete method. Now this function we need to call over here. Delete department by ID, and whatever the ID you get, that you will pass it over here. Okay, deleted, success. After that, we are refreshing the grid. Let's check. Something is wrong. Save, save, save. Page is not running. So when we created the API, we were not able to test all the API, but now, because we didn't implement the Swagger, or didn't we had the Postman, but now with UI is ready, we are able to test all the API. Reload. Continue. Data is there. Now if we click on the marketing, delete, see the network call. Null. Why? Let's add a debugger. Debugger is also not executed. Department delete question mark ID is not delete. Why it is not executing like this? Let's pass like this. If I click on delete now it is executing. Why this question mark is not working? Anyway, so whatever the ID you passed to delete, that ID you got it over here. We are finding the particular record. See, you got the whole object from the ID. Now that you are passing it to remove and save changes. Department selected, and see, after that we did the get API call and department got removed. Okay, but while deleting, we always ask that are you sure want to delete or not? So for that, we show the confirm box. Constant is delete. Confirm. Are you sure want to delete? If user, we get OK and cancel button. If it is yes, we get true. And if it is true, then only we need to run this code. That's it. Let's test it. So if I click on delete, if I say cancel, nothing happens. No API call is also there. Let's remove it. Check the network call. Okay. If I click on delete and if I click on cancel, nothing happens. Okay. But if I click on delete and if I click on OK, now API call is there. Okay. So whenever you are working on a machine test for an interview, this is very basic what you should cover. Then advanced part, validation, this URL, instead of keeping it over here, you should move it to your environment. This method name, you should move it to your constant. Okay, that is your advanced level, what you should do. Got it? So whenever you are appearing for a machine test, if you cover all this possible and if you write it everything properly, you only increase your chances of getting selected, because not every Angular developer write all this. Okay, clear? Department CRUD.
Sir, I'm having one doubt. Sir, go to API, delete API. We passed query matter, but that query parameter, but that did not work. Is it because of line number 57?
No, I think it is because of this. Because
And if we
normally
are
I didn't write like this. I just
Because we use slash here. Delete
Yeah.
department slash ID.
Slash ID,
That's why
yes.
he's asking for slash.
If it is like this, now then question mark ID will be working.
I
Hmm.
think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
It should be
yeah, then go. No, your voice is breaking.
not ID.
Not clear. What you're saying?
Colon.
No, able to hear you.
Yes.
Put down in message. Okay. Now, department we have done by writing our code. Now for designation also everything will be same, but in designation we have a foreign key for department. See, department model, if I show you designation, we have this department ID which is a foreign key. Now when you create the UI, you need the drop down, like in which department you are creating the designation. Okay. So let's ask ChatGPT to. Okay. So this is your model. Now we have to ask ChatGPT to create the UI for this. Just again, it's a small font, so we will use the same way. Just like above, create UI for this also. Now we don't have to say all the things again. See, it has created the drop down for department. Okay, let's copy. And this we will put onto our designation HTML. Let's remove this body. Route, where is designation? What's our route name? Designation only. Okay, let's save. If I click on designation, you got the form. See? Okay. Now, same thing we have to do. Okay. So I will ask ChatGPT to write the code now. Yeah, what was your question? Okay, question mark ID also we can pass. Yeah. Okay. Now, the department thing, we have done it by ourselves. Now, designation is almost the same thing. So I don't want to repeat it one more time. Copilot is exhausted. My free chat history are we deleted. So I will ask the ChatGPT to write the basic code. Create. And I will provide the example also. Okay, this is my existing service for department. Create like this. The same service I need API call function for remaining. I'm working on Angular. This is my existing service for where I created all API call function for department. Just like this, create for designation. Okay, now it will provide you all the functions. So one by one thing you have to go. Don't ask everything once. Now you need to put your service. Now you will change your designation. Now you just need to change your particular method name. See, designation model. So we have to create our designation model also, just like this. Export. See, I will go with interface now. So what problem we face if we go with interface? Okay, what things we have? Designation ID, colon number 2. Then we have department ID, which is our foreign key. Then we have designation name. And having data type string. Okay. Now interface doesn't have a constructor, right? Just a minute. Okay. Now in your component, for now I will put it over here. Designation. Let's put the same name. Okay. Now in your component, when you create the object by strongly typing that new designation object colon designation model. So this is your interface now. So in constructor, this dot new bracket is missing. This dot designation object equal to, you have to initialize all the properties like this. Now tell me, which one was better, constructor or the interface?
Interface good, right?
No, why interface is good? Let's say this interface you are using it over here. Let's say same interface you are using another component also. Here also you have to initialize. So initializing it multiple times is better, or initializing it one time in constructor is better?
Yeah. One time
Got-
only better.
Got it? So that's why whenever you are binding your variable and that variable you are going to the form, you will go for a class, not the interface. Clear now? Understood all?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so again, we will ask the component code also. Here I will say, now provide .ps code as well to complete CRUD operation. So see, if we didn't pass anything, so it has gone with reactive form. I will say, or let's go with reactive form because template form we have already covered, right? Just copy everything and paste it over here. Inject master service, we need to inject form builder, form group also we need to import. And now in department, in designation, you have to show the drop down of department. So for that, you need this department model also, because on the page load, you are going to call the department API. See, we didn't specify anything to him. Did we specify that I need a department drop down? But because in our model, we had department ID and the service, existing service, what we provided. Why it is giving error? It had the get all department API. So see, it has created it. Okay. Now we just have to test it. Why it is giving error? Okay, designation we don't have, but why it has taken? See, now it has done the mistake. In our designation model, we didn't have the property, but what it has think, in department we had this property, so might be possible designation also had it, but we don't have it, right? So while using AI, yeah, it does everything, but not properly. We need a human to gather and check everything, right? We didn't ask him to add this, but some extra thing also it has done. Okay, we don't need this. Here also we need to remove. Let's check the UI. In UI also it has taken. Okay. Now, so the .ts code only we got. Now we created our reactive form. So this reactive form we need to bind to our UI also. Let's do the code now. Now this is our whole form. Okay. So here we will add the form tag. And this form tag will close over here. Because whenever you are working on a reactive form, we need a form tag. That is very mandatory. So here you have to bind form group. Again, reactive form. So we have to import our reactive form module. That's why it was not suggesting that. Now, if we imported it, form group is equal to your form name. What is your form name? Designation form. Okay, designation form we imported. Now on every control, you need to bind the respective form controller name. Form controller name equal to your control name. What is your control name? Where it is? Control name is designation name. Designation. Okay, sorry. This was a drop down, na? Department ID, you need to bind it over here. Then here you need the designation name. Designation name will go over here. Okay. Now we just need to call the respective function. On save function over here. Let's check. Wait, all designation does not exist. I think we didn't save the service. So save all. And our API, designation API. Okay. Now in our designation, we have a reference of our foreign key. Okay, first let me show you, then you will understand what problem or what we have to again do. On the page load, we are calling the API, load department, load designation. Wait. So here we have a drop down of department. So on the page load, we are already calling the load department API call, right? So whatever the department we have, that we need to bind it over here. So instead of this static drop down, we have to iterate. So at the rate for loop over here. So this option will go over here. We need a value because we are getting the data from your API value item dot department ID. You will bind it over here. And while display, you will bind department name. Okay. Let's save and check if this is working. See, whatever the department we created that are coming over here. Now on the page load, we need to show the department data also. So that we are storing into the designation list. So this also we need to show. So instead of this static, we have to iterate at the rate for loop. Now, in department component, we have done the basic thing. You return the API call, you stored it into your service, store it into variable, and that you bind it. Instead of doing this, we will create an observable and we will try to use the async pipe. Okay. So now, department list. Instead of this normal variable, what we will go? We will go with our subject. So dot dep, and the data type will be observable. We are using async pipe. Okay. Sorry, not designation. Here, dollar. For department also we can do, okay. Do it one place only. Observable of type this data. You are going to store this type of data, right? Observable. Okay. So you created an observable. Now what you will do? You won't subscribe. What you will do? You will just assign the value. So this dot dollar designation is equal to this. You won't subscribe over here. Subscription, why it is giving error? Because here we didn't provide the proper data type, right? Let's provide the proper data type. This function is also returning observable of designation array. Now that error will go away because return type should be always be the same. And here also. this will go over here. So this function is also returning this type of data. Now it won't show the error. Okay. Now, so you have this observable. Now you have to use the async pipe. So add async pipe. Then on the table, instead of, because we are not subscribing over here, you have the observable. Now this observable, you can directly use over here at the rate for loop, and you will add async pipe over here. So in the HTML, you are directly subscribing. Okay. So tr, we will move it over here. Now here, let's format again. So over here, you have to show the index. So $index, you will show it over here. And here, item dot designation name. Now this okay, sorry, first one was the department name. Now we have to show the department name. But from API, we are just getting the department ID. Okay, I will tell you what problem is currently. Department ID we are getting from API. Item dot designation name. Activation, we don't have it, so let's remove it. Save. Why API call is not happening? API is running. Get all designation is breaking. Why? API. Get all designation is not valid. Why it is saying like this? Designation. Okay, we didn't specify the method name. See, in this controller code was written by your copilot, ChatGPT. So here that route name is not there. So if route name is not there, you don't have to provide. Just a simple get API call you have to do. So in get all designation, on every API, you don't need the route name. Just according to the method, it will work. Okay. Pay, good, get, post, put, delete. So many, when we work on the live project, they don't provide the route name, because one control, they will just have 4 API call, get, post, put, delete. One more 2 get API call will be there, but one get API call will be without the parameter. On click of edit, we have the get API with the parameter. Okay. So now we are not passing the actual method name because we don't have it over here. It is just a method name. Okay. We don't have any route name. So now it should work. Let's reload. It is giving error over here in routing. So see, data is there now. Now our department designation get API is returning you department ID. Now, will you show the department ID over here? And will user understand this? What we need to do over here?
Just serial number.
No, this department ID I'm saying. Do we need to show department ID over here or what?
Name, department name.
Department name.
What
should be
department
same,
name?
because of department ID, how user will understand which department is this. So now in this API, we don't need the normal data. We have to join, because in this get API currently what we are getting, whatever the data you have into your designation table, that only you are getting. But now you need to join from department and designation. Okay. Now we will ask this to, let me find what was the copilot which I used to do this. GPT. Let me see. Yeah, I think this one is that. Yeah. Modify this as we have foreign key department ID. We need department name in result. See. Now we need to create another model, because now you are passing some different data, right? So you have to create another one. Without that also you can do. Let me show you that first. Now this is the new API where we have a join. Okay. It has gone with include. We don't, because we have not added the foreign key like that. Let me revise my query. This is the correct query. See, it has provided option 1. If you have that navigation property on the model, we don't have that. So this is the second option. Okay. Paste it over here. Okay. So see, this is the API which will return the combination of department and designation also. Let's run it now. Now you will get the proper department ID also. Okay. If I reload, it was not running. Let me reload again. Now if you check this API, see, now you got the department also. Now you can show it in the UI. Now your post API has some different thing and your get API has some different thing. So now you have to create one more interface. This is for your post API. Designation list model. Now here you are getting department name also. So this property also should be present. So many times now when you work, your save object will have some different field, but your get object might have some different field. So we create two interface or classes, whatever. Okay. Now here on the table, here instead of this designation, you have to pass the different model, designation list model. Okay. Now here also it will show the error because this function we put it designation. Now you have to change over here also. Got it? Now here one more property you will add instead of department ID, department name you will show. Save. See, now it is properly showing. Let's test the, let's say, software installation. New installation is the designation. Okay, sorry, this is designation. Now in software, let's say junior developer. This is the designation. Save. See, getting created. DOps. In DOps, what profile might be there? Let's say senior engineer. Save. Okay. Let's try to edit associate HR. Why edit is not working? Okay, we didn't write the code. So our code .ts code was ready by your API copilot, right? Now this function you need to call over here. And what this function need? Click function object. Okay. So the whole object you will pass it over here. See now on click of edit, you got the form populated. Okay. Onboarding specialist. Designation I'm changing. Save. See. Wait. It didn't change. Why? Let's try. Onboarding.
Do not select the update. We click on the save. That's
Okay. But why update button is not visible? Okay, got it. So here you can see it has created this one more flag, is edit. So whenever you are in the new, it is making that flag true and false. So because of this, it is saying like we will modify it. Because what we did, UI.ts code was written by Copilot and UI we did it somewhere else, right? So at the rate if so if this variable is true, we will show a save button, or else we will show our update button. Or instead of having two buttons, on one button also we can do, and same function also we can check. Okay. On delete, where is the update? Say here it has already done that. In the same function, if this variable is true, we are calling this, otherwise this. Okay. So same function on the save and the update button we have to call. No need of different function. Okay. Let's try now. Onboarding to save. No, still it is not. What mistake we are doing? Save. What URL we are passing correct? Data is also we are passing correct. Something might be wrong with our API now. Let's try to debug. Software junior developer post I'm trying to update. Go to on click of. Wait, update button is not visible. Why? On click of edit. Where is the edit? We are making it true, right? So update button should be visible. Same code we have written over here. See, on click of edit function, we are changing this variable to true. Okay. So we need vice versa, na? If it is true, always show the save button. We need vice versa, false. That's why. Okay. Update. Edit that. Why API call is not getting triggered? See it. Who gets the idea? See our update API. What it needs? This is a function, right? What this function needs?
ID and body.
ID and object. And from UI, what we are sending? Just the URL. Okay. So we need to pass the ID also now. That's what I said, na, ki it's based on the API developer. Sometimes API developer will keep ID, sometimes not, right? So in our department, we didn't have the ID in the put API. So directly we pass the object, but here we need the ID. Okay. So update function. So here, this function API call function also we need to modify. Or here only we can pass, because in object you are getting the ID also. So slash plus obj dot designation ID you need to pass. Let's try now. Now it should hit properly. Edit. DTOs engineer I'm removing. Update. Now if you check the object, we got clicked. Okay. Now it will save. Continue. See, now updated is working. Okay. Let's pass the delete function also. Delete function. See, it has already taken care of that confirm, which we normally did. While writing the prompt, we didn't say it cover this also, but it has covered. So all the generalized thing it will cover if you say or not. Okay. So click. It needed ID. So item dot designation ID we need to pass. Let's save and check. On click of delete, DevOps I'm trying to delete, cancel. Nothing happened. On click of delete. Okay. Deletion got success. Wait. Yeah. But why it didn't reload? Load designation API call is there. Okay. So see, now for designation data, we created an observable, right? On click of save or update, our table is not getting refreshed because this will call on the first load only. It won't again trigger, right? So what we should do?
So why is it so?
See, what we did, we created an observable, and in that observable, we are storing the data. So this will only run one time, na? Whenever you have an observable, you have to trigger again. So just calling this function won't trigger itself, na, again.
But if we subscribe it, then that in that case it will
In
work, right?
subscribe it will work because when you
Okay,
subscribe,
huh.
every time it will trigger, na?
Okay, yes.
Got it?
So
So to
declaring
hide-
only observable, it is not
Right.
self-triggering.
So
That's why
what
it
we
is
can
not doing.
do,
Hmm.
we just need to, if we just hide and show this, again it will subscribe. See how is loading. I'm creating a variable, okay? Signal. By default, I'm passing false value. I just need my UI to refresh again. Then this line will execute again. So this will again subscribe. Okay. So I have created a variable loading, and this variable, once I'm saving, I will make this variable true for here only. Okay. And whenever I get the data, I will make it false again. So my UI will hide and show. Same thing in the delete also, we need to do everywhere. So whenever there is an API call happening, I am changing this variable to true. And once I get the API call data, I'm changing it to false. Now here, at the rediff, so signal, if this is there, if this signal is true, I will have a tr td call span for loading and at the rate else, we will pass this. Okay, now it will subscribe again. Let's test now. Okay, so this record I'm deleting. Let's check it on the slow internet speed. Network 3G. Okay. So on click of delete, API call is happening. Again, you see get API call is there. See, record got deleted now. Let's try creating. On click of save, loading. Again, get API call is there. See, we solved that problem. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Basically, what you were doing earlier by manually subscribing, that same thing we are doing over here, because this line is going to execute again. So again, it will subscribe. Understood? Again, it's okay if everyone is not able to understand this. Only senior developer can think. Okay, so don't consider that why I didn't got this.
And
Clear?
here by means of signal change, that will
This
get
hidden,
detected
na?
observable.
This get
Right.
hidden. Again, it will render. So again, this line
Yeah.
of code will execute and it will subscribe the updated data. That's when
Yes.
your API call will again trigger.
Yes.
Fine. Okay. Okay. Almost 1.5 hours we connected. So just employee is remaining now. So around 1 p.m. we will connect. Okay.
So can you share earlier two recordings?
I will compile that. I also forgot where I kept it. I
Yes,
didn't
please.
update it.
With this also.
I will
So
combine that. I will put it.
Okay, sir.
I will put it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Fine then. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Fine. So now employee creation was remaining. Department and designation is done. So we have to start on the employee creation. Okay. Now, so for employee, because we have created two components. One is for the form and another is for the list. So that I can show you that query based routing also. Okay. So for now, first we will complete the employee form. Then we will move back to the showing the list of the employee. Fine. So HTML and .ts. Now, let me just remove this. Let's check the object of the employee. This is the class. Now we need to create a class of it. So see, because in this API project, we didn't create the Swagger. So instead of manually creating, I'm copying the model. I will go to the ChatGPT and I will ask create TypeScript class with constructor to initialize constructor and initialize all fields. Right? Why it is giving two response? Basically same thing. Okay, this is the what we need. Now we have created model folder already. So here one more folder I will create to store my employee model. Employee dot model dot ts. Okay, here I will put it. So see, employee IDs or because whatever the model you pass, it has from, even though it is a C# model, but types we said so okay, we have to convert this into TypeScript. So it has considered what data type we have, properties, and like that it has initialized also. So employee ID is normally primary key, we keep it as 0. So 0, string property with empty. Wherever we had date, so it has initialized with the new date. Okay. Now, so now we created the class. Now in so sorry. Okay. Yeah. So we created our class. Now we are moving towards the CRUD operation. So in this component, we just need a form, right? Employee form. So again, we can make use of the ChatGPT. We will ask him to design a specific form. You have to say, I'm prepare this response. Now provide a form for this object. Use Bootstrap and create section-wise field arrangement. Okay. Just provide static HTML page, because we said we create a class in TypeScript, so it might provide you all the code also. So that's what I'm saying. It just provide static HTML page, no code. Right, in the earlier we have seen when we were using the designation, so it follows the department and it added some extra property also. We didn't say it, but it considered like in department we had is active property. Just like that, it had added in the designation also. But in designation, we didn't had that property, right? So whenever you are writing the prompt, you need to provide the exact thing what you need. If you provide very generalized, it will consider from your chat history and it will try to follow the same, right? So what you need exactly you need to specify. Okay, so this two CSS we need. Let's copy the whole thing, then we will remove everything what we don't need. Okay, so let's copy employee form HTML. We don't need script. And our CSS, we will move it to our CSS file over here. Body we don't need. Save. Let's format it one more time. Okay, so we need to create the route for the employee form also. Routes, new employee dot is here in the header component. We just need to add it. Employee, just like this. Let's copy new employee and the route name, that is new hyperlink. We will change this route because we are going to need a parameterized route, because same component we are going to use for add and the update also. Okay, new employee. So see, we got a very proper form. Okay, it has added employee ID, but normally we don't show primary key, so we won't be needing this. Okay, now let's close. Okay, now in employee form component, so we created a class. So now here we have to create an object. So new employee object. I'm going with template only, colon, employee model. It's a class, so we can initialize, right? That's the purpose of creating class, so we don't have to initialize again and again. Now this model, we need to bind it to our form. We are using forms module, template ng model, so we have to import forms module. Okay, now, so see, just a shortcut again. So now all the field, we have this class. So what I can do, I can copy and search this, and I will replace that with square bracket, round bracket ng model equal to new employee object dot. So this will be common, right? So we will replace this with this. Okay, 11 times. This is just repeated. Now you can just bind the field. So employee ID, we don't have to show. Let's remove this for now. We don't need this full name. Since we binded it properly with our class, so all the properties will be IntelliSense, right? So name, then we have contact number, alternate contact number, email. So once we are done with this now, then we will actually will be able to see that role based some hide and show some disable thing. Let's quickly complete this first. Pin code, state. So here we have to copy paste because for drop down we had a different class. Designation ID. Now here we have to bind the designation, whatever the designation. This is static, but this should be dynamic. So here we will use the async pipe. In previous designation component we have done, right? So here also we will do. Role, yeah, so role we decided like only HR and the employee, right? So let's say HR and employee, only two roles are there, so static drop down. And last one, role. Created data and modified it. These fields are going to be modified from the API side. From the UI side, we don't have to do with this. Okay. So we created object, that object we bind it to our form. Now again, we have this form section. Again, I have to take time and bind the that name attribute. So I'm removing this form tag. Okay. Otherwise, we everywhere we have to bind that name attribute. So that's why I'm removing it. Now on click of save. So click or save MP. Okay. Button type. Instead of submit, we will go with button. So normally try to go with button, because if you go with input type submit, if you have the form again, post back might happen. So that's why just to keep it play safe, we go with button. Okay, we can go with submit also. Now, sorry, our function name is this. Now for department and designation, we had created this master service, but now employee is a new module, right? So we can create a new service for employee, so that all things related to that our employee module will be in a different service, and all the things related to department and designation, because department and designation were kind of a master data. So that's why everything we put it into our master service. Ng generate service employee. Now, so in older structure before Angular 20, when we didn't have that name confusion, but now everything is .ts, service, component, pipe, everything is .ts. So now if you just create with employee, now you might have the employee component also and service also with the same name. So right, so you have to add a name also now. Manually you have to write. Previously we didn't used to do this, but as they have removed that component, service, right? So you have to manually, so that you can identify that this was a service and this is the component. Okay, so that's why I'm manually adding this word over here. Okay, so service got created. Now here we need the HTTP object. So HTTP is equal to inject HTTP client first API call, that is save employee bracket return this dot HTTP dot post API call. Let's get the URL also. So basic URL will be same. So this method we have all common URL. I will put it over here. So this is your common URL. After that API controller name and the method name. So our employee controller, employee master is our controller name. So API URL plus controller name slash our method name. So our method name is create. Or we didn't provide the route name, so we just have to provide the post one. That's it. We don't need to provide the route name also. Since it's a post API, we need to pass the object. This function we are going to call from the API. So from there, we will pass the object. We already created employee model, so that we will bind it over here. And this object, we will pass it over here as a second parameter. So this is your URL and this is the object what you will be passing. Now, in this function, you have to do the API call integration. So we need to inject our service. So employee inject employee service, and over here this dot employee service dot, currently we just have one function, that new employee object we need to pass this dot and dot subscribe round bracket curly bracket, next success block, then error block. Okay, let's add a debugger and test it properly. One more thing remaining. So in our employee form, we have a designation drop down. Now designation is going to be coming from our different API, right? So we already have created that function in our master service, right? So that's the use of, like whenever we get asked question, ki what's the use of service? We say ki API call just to write the API call function, but it's not that. We achieve reusability also, right? So let's say you don't create the service. Now that get all designation API call will be repeated 2 times in employee component also, and in the your designation component also. But now that API call you put it over here, so that serves the reusability also, right? Now this API call we have to do. So now we will create, instead of calling the normal API and we will subscribe normal thing, we will use the async pipe. So for async pipe, we have to create an observable, right? So dollar designation list colon observable. What type of data we are going to store? So designation list model square bracket is equal to new observable designation model list round bracket. So we created observable type of data. Why it is saying error? Okay, sorry. Here also we need. Here we said square now array. So here also same thing. Now on the page load, this dot dollar designation list. So to this observable, we have to pass the data we get from that API. But API data we are getting from the master service. So master service also we need to inject. Once the basic thing is done, again today I will try to arrange one more session where we will that unsubscription and everything, some advanced things we will try to complete. So we will have a very proper project with whole functionality also and plus advanced implementation also. So this dot master service dot get all designation. Okay. Now async pipe we need to import. So async pipe. Now this observable data you will directly subscribe into your HTML over here. So at the rate for loop, your observable name async, and your option will go over here. Now this is not a static, the data is coming from API and we have to pass we are getting the key value pair data. So that's why value attribute item dot designation ID, you will bind it over here, and here you will show the designation name. Fine. Let's remove this. Or we could have done the dependent drop down also, but we forgot that API, because if you need the designation, so we need an API where we will pass the department and it will get the matching designation of that also. But let it be for now. So just to identify, we will show the department name also. Otherwise, it will take some time. Department name. Okay. So in the drop down only we are showing department name and the designation. Fine. Let's check if we are able to see the designation drop down. Okay, so see HR, QA, QA. Let's try to add one more designation. Let's say in HR, associate onboarding we have created. Let's say salary negotiation. What is that? Talent people, na? Talent specification. Okay, I'm creating one more designation in the HR department. Now, if you go to the new employee, see the new designation is also coming. So whatever the data you create over there, that are coming properly. Now everything is done. Now we can test the save thing. Fine. Let's try now. Let's say Rahul, contact number @gmail.com, address something I'm adding, Pune, Maharashtra. Let's pass the more character, because if you in the database also we have specified what maximum number we can have in employee, where it is pin code. So see, we have said ki maximum 6 digit only it will allow. So if we pass more characters over here, we should get API, error from the API. Okay, let's check that. 400 or something invalid body we should get. Let's click on save. Save. Okay, 500 we got. I think inner line exception only we are getting. I didn't pass the proper message. Okay, let's try to pass the 6 digit only. On click of save. See, API call is success now. Employee ID got created. Okay. So now if I show you the database, this was the existing record what we created. If I execute again, see Rahul record got created. Whatever the data we pass from the Angular, then it got to the API, then it got stored to the database. Okay. Now let's check how response we are getting. So we are getting response like preview, sorry. We are getting response like this. So in the success block, so this is our success block, alert employee created success. Okay. Now, so employee created success. After employee getting created success, we have to reset our form also. So since we binded our form with this object, and this we have already binded with our class, so we can just reinitialize. So this dot new employee object is equal to new and our model, right? So that's the advantage of your class. You don't, in one place you have the initialization, right? So employee is getting created. Now in the employee list, we have to show the list of the employees. Okay. Let's use it in employee service. We need one more API call. Get all employee. Again, we have to change the API, because in employee also we have to show the drop down and designation and the drop down. Currently, if you see the get all employee API, what we are doing, whatever the data you get from the employee table, that only you are returning. But in employee table, we have designation ID, but only designation showing also is not important. We have to show the department, designation, and their employee data, right? So this API also we need to modify. So let's copy this. So in ChatGPT also, I'm following the same chat for from database creation and everything, right? So it knows everything. How much in where we have that model and that foreign key relationship and everything, right? So we can directly ask in this API, add link you to SQL join with department and designation, as we need name and designation and employee data as well. Okay. Now it will create an API where it will join designation, department, and employee. All three table data we will get it. Okay. So see, first response only we need copy. We will replace the existing one. So see, it has added the join between designation department. If you see the designation, because in employee table we have the designation, so it has combined with designation. Then in department, from designation it has, because in designation table we have the department. So like that, it will just from the employee table it will get the designation ID. From designation table it will get the department ID. That's why three tables data we are able to retrieve. Okay, let's run now. Now this API call we need to integrate into our employee list component. So just like this, return this .http.get. Okay, as we said, we don't have the route name, so same URL will be there. Okay, because route name is not there here. See, because we just have get, post, put, delete, right? Get has two API, one with the ID, one without ID. If we don't pass the ID, this will execute. If we pass the ID, this will execute. This is for getting the single ID record. Okay, get all employee. Now this we need to integrate on the page load. Now here, instead of creating a normal variable, obviously we have to go with the signal, because otherwise it won't show, right? Angular 21 zoneless app is there. So now let's check the model. Now, if you see, this is the model what we are going to get from this API. So we have to create a interface for this also. Let's ask ChatGPT to create it. Create interface for this or TypeScript. Okay. So instead of going for a class, because why to go for a class? Because this variable, we are just going to show it, bind it to the array itself, right? We don't need the initialization. Wherever you need the initialization, you have to go for a class. If you don't need initialization, simply go for a interface. Okay. Now here, employee list signal. Wait, let's see. Create. Yeah. Copy. Now we created employee model, right? So here only we will put it all the related classes for the employee. Now it's an interface, so we should start with I. That's what we normally follow. So this will go over here and we are going to get array of it. Let's import and initialize with empty array. Okay, we got the signal. Now here also we have to specify the return type. What type of data we are going to return. So observable employee list, no, I employee list model. Let's add the import. Okay, so this function is also returning the same array type of data, and this is also the same. Now we need to inject our service. So employee service is equal to inject employee service on the page load, right? So increments. We can do normal observable also, because this data we are not going to need, but I wanted to explain this. So on init, and here we will try to unsubscribe also. Okay, so ng on init. Let's create another function, get all emp. So this dot mass employee service dot get all employee function dot subscribe on bracket, only bracket, enter next result. Now we know this function, this API call, what type of data it is going to return, right? So same data type also you can provide it over here to the result. Okay, now this dot your signal dot set method, we don't want to consider the existing data, that's why we are going with set and whatever the data you get, and this function you will call it on the page load. Okay, and since we get the data, that data we need to display it also, right? Let's ask ChatGPT to create the UI. I'm doing everything UI because considering you are not fresher, you know this thing, why to waste time on designing the simple HTML also, right? Create HTML table design to show employee data. It might create Angular. No. Okay, basic HTML only it is giving. Some CSS, let it complete. Oh my God, what is, okay, everything it has given. See, no, it has added some filter also. See, we didn't say it so, but it has added some filter also. We just need table. Let's copy the table. Page inertion also it has added. Okay, so this was the static data. Let's remove it. Now we have to iterate it. So at the rate for loop employee list, it's a signal, so we have to access as a method. And this tr, we have to move it inside this. We don't need to show everything, whatever we get, just the limited information we will show. So this will be your index +1 because index start from 0. Then here we just need to bind the data. So item dot name, copy paste. Name, then contact number, email, city, department name, designation name. Okay, then view button we don't need. Here it will be edit button, and here delete button. Okay, let's save and check. API is running, right? Yes. If I go to the employees now, okay, so we got the data. These two columns we need to remove. Created date, employee name, contact number, email, city, department, designation. Okay, role we forgot. Okay, so basic flow we have completed. Okay, now for form we have a different component, and for list we have different component. So if I click on the edit, I have to navigate to this component again, and while navigating I have to pass the employee ID. Then we will call another API. That's what the purpose of this API, where we will pass the employee ID and it will get you the data of that particular ID, right? Because for form we have different component, list is in different component. Now on click of edit we have to navigate, but before navigating first we have to change the route. Now there are two ways. Either you can create one more route with parameter and another route without parameter, or we can have a same parameter also with the means instead of having two, we can have a same only one route with the parameter ID like this only, na, or slash. How do we create parameterized route? I forgot. Slash first or colon first? Let's try. So we need to use router link. Okay, so we will import router link. Router link slash. Now here we have to pass the ID. So let's use property binding colon slash, na. Okay. Colon slash. Single quote plus. After that we need to pass the ID. So item dot employee ID. Okay. Let's test if we are able to navigate over here. Now if I click on the edit, we are getting error. Let's check. No error is there. Save, save, save. Let's try one more. Yeah. Wait, why it is navigating with ID? What we binded? Employee ID we need to bind. Okay, so routing is working. Let's go back. So if I click on the first record, see employee ID 1, 3. Okay, so whatever the record you are clicking, it is navigating with that primary key. Okay, now over here, now same component we are using for creating new record also and updating the existing. So now this link will broken. So see now, if I use this link, we are getting error, cannot match any route, because from the navigation, when you are creating, because same component you are using for creating new employee also and update also. In case of update, you are accessing that component with the ID, but in case of new, you don't have something, right? But you have to pass as a 0 over here, /0. So by doing this, you get to know you are navigating for a new record or the existing record, right? So now see, it won't break now. Okay, so when you have to create the new record, you will navigate with 0. And when you are updating existing, obviously you are navigating with something ID. Okay, now if you are navigating with the 0, right, if you are creating a new record, you don't have to load any information, right? But if you are navigating with the ID, now you need to call the data of this ID, right? Then you need to populate this. So for that, this API call you need to do. Okay, now in employee service, we have to create one more API call with the ID. So just like this, get employee by ID, and this will have the parameter colon number, and whatever the ID you get, that you will pass it over here plus ID. Okay, now this API call we need to do if in the URL we have ID which is not 0. So now my employee form component, we have to read the query parameter data. This is nothing but your query parameter data. This you have to read. If the query parameter data is not 0, right, then only you have to make that other API call. Okay. So for that, on the page load min constructor, I'm reading. First, we have to create the service of your activated route. So activated route, inject activated route. Current, the name itself, activated route. Whatever the current activated route is there, you get to extract all the information of the current activated route by using this. So this dot activated route dot params dot subscribe result. Okay, let's add the data type with Amy. Let me show you this first, what we get it over here. So this is very famous interview question up to 3 to 4 years key. If you have a parameterized route, how do you read the parameter, right? So you create an instance of activator route, and from params you subscribe to the parameters. Okay, let's enable. If I reload, we have currently one over here. Okay. See, ID column 1. From where we are getting ID? Because in the parameter we said so. So ID result.id, whatever the parameter you have. Now let's go back and let's try with the second ID now. Edit. See, whatever the query parameter you have, that you are able to read. Result.id you have to extract. Okay. So now this was the object, right? So here only we will assign our employee ID. So this dot, and again that too, we have to check, add a if statement if it is not 0, right? So if res dot id not equal to 0 means we are in the update mode. So then this dot employee model dot employee ID is equal to, I'm assigning the same whatever the ID you get. Okay. And why we are assigning it? Because we have to make an API call. So here get employee by ID, one more API call. So this dot master, sorry, employee service dot get employee by ID, and you have to pass the object. So this only you will pass it over here because we are storing over here, right? So dot subscribe round bracket. Next. Result. Okay. Now, whatever the data you get, that you have to store it over here again. Okay. So, result over here. Okay. Why we are getting error? I think copy pasted now. So here you see we copy pasted. We have to remove this array because this is going to return a single object of employee, right? Not array. And what it is giving error? The employee list model is not. Okay. So see now this API is returning you just the employee object, right? So this employee model we need to provide over here, not the employee list model, because this API is going to return you the single employee model, right? Not the array of it, because in array we have some different properties. That's why we created interface. Okay, so now this function we need to call over here once we assign the data. Okay, let's check. So if API call is means in the URL we don't have 0, then this API call should be there. Let's try without new employee. Currently it is 0. Okay, let's go. Now if I'm navigating from over here, employee ID is 0, but still API call is going. Why it is going? Let's see. If employee ID is not equal to 0, I think it is comparing string integer or what. Let's try debug, reload. So wait, why it is going inside? Triple equal to also we had. If result or ID not equal to 0, why it is going inside? Any idea, guys? It should not go inside, right? Why it is going inside? Guys, any idea? You are able to unmute. Try to unmute.
ID is coming 0 over there.
But we use triple equal to now. If it is not equal to 0, then only we have to go inside, right? Currently,
Yes, but it's
very strange. Let's try. Now it's not. What is happening with triple ID then? Okay, sorry. So triple I again data type was mismatched, so that's why it was going. Okay. Now let's try with the ID now. So if the ID is 0, so that API call is not there. Only one API call is there for the designation. Okay. Now if you go to the list, now if I click on edit, see now you have two API call, ID with the 3 and the designation, and the form is getting populated. Getting it? So whatever the data this employee has, all the data is populated. Now, if the ID is not 0, we have to do the update API call. So for that, instead of this save button, we need one more button, right? And how do you decide that? Again, with ID is not 0, right? So at the rate if new employee object dot employee ID equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, we have to save the save button. And else we have to show the update button. Okay. Where is coming from? So update employee button is there because we are in the update mode. Let's try the new mode. So currently it is 0. So say save employee. Okay. So same component we are using for creating the employee also and updating the employee also. Okay. Now, so the basic flow is completed. Just the final flow is remaining. That is role based some hide and show. Okay. Now, if you logged in as a HR, you get whole this menu. But let's say if if employee login, right? He can only update his, let's say we will say key just contact number and the alternate contact number he can update. Only two things he can update. Remaining things should be disabled. Okay. So first we need to complete the logout also. We forgot the logout functionality. So let's quickly complete the logout. Okay, over here. Click. How can we not come? Logout. So whatever basically we are doing in the login, that we have to remove from the local storage. Okay. So login, we were storing the data over in this particular variable. So we need to remove it also. Dot remove item, and we have to remove this particular key. And once we remove, we have to navigate him back to the login page also. So router service again we need to inject router. Okay. So once we remove this dot router dot navigate by URL, and we have to navigate him back to the login page. Okay. Let's test this if we are able to log in, log off. So in the application local storage, currently we have this data present. Okay. If I click on log out, see that employee data got removed. Okay. Now we will try to log in with the user what we created. Now, okay, we need to create one more employee with, because the Rahul is also having the role HR. Let's try to create one more employee. Let's create an employee. Sachin. Same contact number. I'm putting it over here. Pune, MH, QA, employee. Save. Employee got created. In the list, it is coming also. Let's try to log in with Sachin now. Sachin. Password is mobile. Okay. Now see, I logged in as a employee, but still I'm able to see all the menu. This should not happen, right? So if I logged in as an employee, I should not show any menu. And by default, I should navigate. Employee doesn't have a dashboard, right? So by default, I should navigate to this page only. New employee with the ID. So now, once we log in, there only we need to write the code. So here, because role based, obviously when you do the login there, only from login only you have to start doing the things, not just the pages where you are actually going to role based thing. From the login itself your thing starting according to the role, you navigate to different pages also. So now here, if the result.data.role, here we get the logged in data, role is equal to employee. So if the logged in role is employee, where we have to navigate to the new form component, but with the route ID, because new form component has the route, and whatever the logged in employee, that information again we need to show, right? So new employee we have to navigate, but with the ID slash result.data.employee ID. Oh, it's not suggesting. Let's get it from over here. Okay. And if the logged in employee is not employee means if it is HR, we will navigate simply to the dashboard. Okay, but we need to hide. Let's test this one by one. So we are just completing the login part first. Okay, let's log out. Let's log in with Sachin again. See, we directly navigated to this with the specific ID and such an information is visible. Let's try the vice versa with the HR also. If I'm logging with HR now, I should be able to navigate to the dashboard. Okay, dashboard. So if the if the logged in role is employee, we are navigating to the specific employee page. And if it is HR, the normal flow. Now these menus also we need to hide, right? So in header, we need to read the local storage data, right? So here, or instead of doing this over here, okay, let's do it over here. So log emp data colon employee model we get no employee model. So on the page load, we need to read the local storage data. So I will do it in the constructor. We could have stored this in a service also. That's the better way. Let it be for now. Constant local data, local storage dot get item. We have to read the logged in data that we have stored over here. Whenever we store the logged in data, we converted it into JSON string, right? So again, we need to convert it back. But whenever you are reading the local storage data, always add a null check if the data is present or not equal to null. So if it is not equal to null, in this variable, we have to store the data by json.parse. And what you will pass, thus the local data. Okay. Now here you will have the data. Now this you can check over here. So those whole UL we need to hide. So at the ref role is equal to if HR, then only we need to show the whole menu. And here, yeah, let it be. Let's try this now. So currently we are logged in with the HR. If I log out, let's try with login with employee now. See, no menu is visible. Again, if we are not showing menu, we can hide this also. That also we can do. But again, the basic functionality we have done. But in actual application, it's not. Some menus will be visible for employee also. Let's say his bank detail, address information, project detail, some information he can see, right? But we don't have that model. But that's why I have hidden. Okay. So according to the menu, we show some menu to the HR, so we show some menu to the employee also. Now, if employee is logged in, update should be there, but some menus, some text box should only disable. So let's say only these three menus, these three field only he can fill. So we need to disable the remaining thing. So over here, now the form is again in the employee. So we need the logged in role, right? So here you see, we have read the logged in data and we have put it over here. Now this code will be repeated again. So instead of repeating this code, you can move this code into your service also. Okay. But for now, I'm just doing the same thing. Copy employee form. This code I will put it into my constructor. So logged in data, we have read it over here also. Okay. Now, so here, if the logged in data, right? So in all the field, we have to add the disabled property. So square bracket disabled dot role is equal to single quotes HR. Let's test it. Save. Sorry, vice versa. Okay. So if the currently we are logged in as an employee, so see, we are disabling it. So all the disable attribute, we have to add it over here. Just these three field, you don't need that. On all the remaining field, you can add this attribute. Okay. Let's add it. See, all the fields are disabled. Now here you see, whenever we work on a actual project, real-time project, whenever you have multiple roles, right? So many places will be there based on the role we hide and show something, sometimes we disable. So we don't normally write like this multiple time. We create a directive for this, and this code we move it over there. Okay. So many people get this question, ki, how does role-based authentication, what things you do if you have multiple role? So many things we do, from creating guard, from creating directives according to our role, right? Menus, hide and show. So many things are there. According to role, we have different set of APIs also. So whenever you get this question, now make sure you have some points ready to tell ki what we do when we take care about the role-based application, right? So because this is repeated code. So instead of having this, we create a directive and this code we move it over there, and whatever the element reference we get, the disable attribute, we add it from the custom directive. Okay. So this is the whole application. We started from creating database, table, then we have written the API, then same Angular project also we have created from again guard and everything we didn't implement, but basic functionality at least we are able to complete. Okay. Yeah. Any questions now? I don't like some, if all of you have joined all the session, you would have got everything. But if you have not joined some sessions, you might have missed. Again, recording will go on to the YouTube, so you can see that. Yeah. Any question? Quick. You can unmute.
Actually, sir, I have missed previous video.
Mm.
So where can I find that?
I will because all the sessions are recorded in my local. I will combine it and then I will post it on YouTube. Okay. And this API also I will try to host it somewhere. So because not everyone will have the VS Code. So this API I will host it on my free API portal. Okay. So you can integrate this. Again, one more API I will create for the designation dependent dropdown, because in the employee form, here we directly have the designation, right? So what we should have a department. Once we select the department, then designation should be populated. Dependent dropdown also we can create. For that, we need the respective API also like that. Okay. Again, small for dashboard, I think we created or no? Dashboard API, no. We dashboard API also we didn't create, but we can again create the dashboard API also. In HR, like total department, total designation, total employee, like that information we can show in the dashboard page. Then it will have a look and feel of an admin application. Okay. Yeah. Anyone having any question? Fine then. Thank you. Thanks all for joining.